God, Sean has having a turn on Twitter.
What else is new with that?
I love that you're an old man already.
I don't really care.
I know.
Okay, I think we fixed it. Fuck me, stupid fucking piece of shit. Okay, I see us live on YouTube, but I gotta figure out if I deleted the old one. Let me refresh this and see. I think it did. No, it didn't. Fuck. Hold on. I gotta delete this piece of shit.
Oh my god, you're such a boomer.
No, it's fucking Streamlabs. It's their fuck up. I changed one. I replaced at the end of the title V2. That's the only fucking change I made, and now it fucking works. So this is on Streamlabs. They're fucking garbage.
Okay.
It's them, not me. God damn it. I take no responsibility.
It's everyone but you. It's everyone
yes,
but you.
including you.
Yeah.
It's your fault too.
Yeah.
Hold on. Now I gotta go delete my previous links. Okay. I don't think I pasted it to Facebook, so let me get the new link. If you're just joining the stream, we got all messed up because of Sargon. It was particularly his fault, and specifically his fault, that all this happened.
Yeah. Louis didn't spill his Monster Energy drink or anything.
No, it's okay, though. I have the heart of a Christian. I am full of forgiveness. It's okay. Nothing to apologize for. Don't worry.
I've got the heart of a ruthless gangster fucking leader.
Oh, you know what that reminds me of?
Yeah.
I bought actually, is it Zack Snyder's Watchmen, the movie? Is that who directed it? Zack Snyder?
Yeah, it's really long, isn't it?
Yeah, I bought the longer version. It's slightly different than the theater version, but what they add is this really meandering comic that the one black actor is reading, who's at the newsstand. That is kind of like detrimental to the movie. It's terrible pacing, but
really,
what I love about the film is, and by the way, they cut some red pill lines. Like during the riots, when the comedian jumps down and starts, shotgunning people, people are yelling at comedian, "You're not the law," blah blah blah. This woman runs up, she goes, "My son is a police officer, you fucking faggots." That was one of the lines cut from the movie, and it made me laugh so hard.
Wasn't Rorschach meant to be some based far right guy anyway?
It depends on how you interpret the character. Whoever created it, what's the name of the weirdo Englishman that created Watchmen?
Oh, I can't remember. Frank Miller?
Yeah. He created, according to what I read, and it might be made up, that he just created the character to be a strange character. But from my understanding of people that analyze it afterwards, I agree with this assessment that Rorschach is supposed to be a test of the reader and how you interpret the character, whether you like his uncompromising attitude or not. It depends on you.
Were you a fan, Louis? That's the question.
I have to say that I side more with Rorschach than I do... what's the name of the guy, the rich guy?
We'll just call him the SJW.
Okay, sure. Well... I understand from a utilitarian perspective what his plan was, but I think the cost is so high that it makes his choice completely unjustifiable. And he's gambling with the presumption rather than what he actually knows. Because he can't actually see into the future. Only, what is it? It's better if you remember the characters, Mr. Manhattan, Dr. Manhattan.
I actually, it was ages ago I watched it, so I actually can't remember the plot. I remember Rorschach and Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because they were memorable characters, but I can't remember what the purpose of it was.
And it also doesn't help you that Dr. Manhattan, who's basically lost all touch with humanity and has become, in essence, like a quasi-nihilist, like, he agrees with Hoyt, whatever the character's name was, the guy that triggers the event, that he agrees with him in the end. It's like, to me, that also kind of shows you that the guy's in the wrong, that this is a wrong thing to do. And especially with trying to drive Dr. Manhattan crazy with giving all of his friends and family and former lovers cancer and shit. That's fucked up. Like
I said, I can't remember it.
Yeah, at some point in my view, like, I understand you're trying to save the world, but at some point you cross a line.
Well, giving everyone cancer, yeah.
Well,
there are probably some methods that just aren't worth it.
Trying to make your extremely powerful godlike friend to drive him over the edge by doing all of this, like, being able to think you can predict what his reaction was going to be to all that, that's incredibly dangerous in its own right. So
well, let's not talk about a film I can't really remember.
Okay. Well, anyways, the point I was going to make was a line in the movie is I've talked recently about wanting to read more about Nixon because of Razorfist talked about this, that Hollywood likes to demonize strong people on the right, that they like to go after those who are strong on the right. And an example of this is Nixon. Nixon won 49 out of 50 states during his re-election, which is
the left must have been bad
unreal. Unreal.
What were the left doing that was so wacky? They didn't want to.
Well, I have to read more about it because this was like 1972, but he had like a cross-platform appeal. He had a bipartisan appeal, and that's why he won so big. And he was an extremely powerful president, extremely influential. But he got kneecapped by the media for something that the left had done previously and went on to do unbelievably with Obama's administration. Every single standard that they say Nixon violated, the left in its entirety covered up, defended, denied, whatever, under Obama. And Obama did things that were 10 times worse. So you have to wonder, did they abandon their principles and their standards and their values, or were they lying for decades about what their values were? And
honestly,
it was just because
I think
Nixon
the communists have been lying. I think the communists have been lying the whole fucking time. I think the communists are far more aware of the idea of subversion than their enemies are.
So the question is, at some point I have to go back and learn more about Nixon and his kind of presidency. But the reason I cite that is, even though the portrayals of him in media are usually terrible, and including in Watchmen, I can't help but love the character. Because Henry Kissinger, they're in the war room, and they're talking about going to a nuclear war with the Russians because the Russians are about to invade Afghanistan. So they're in the war room, and Henry Kissinger says, the Council of Scientists have moved the midnight clock, whatever, the atomic clock or whatever the fuck it's called, to 2 minutes to midnight. And, the line is 2 minutes to doomsday. And Nixon goes, "Get this shit off the screen. I decide when it's doomsday." And it's like, that's true. That is true. And you can
Nixon, right?
portray him as the madman Nixon, which was the caricature that he used as a strategy against the Soviets. But what's so funny is that I'd rather have a powerful president than a fucking pussy as the head of state. And no matter how much you portray him as the madman, he used that effectively against the Soviet Union. So what exactly are you saying about him? It would be honestly, like the right.
It's not different. It's not different to Trump in that regard. Portraying him as a madman. Well, yeah, okay. Like Trump had a bit of clout on the world stage until recently.
With Nixon, the thing that I am getting the gist from him is that he was a realist. He was someone that understood politics because he had been in it for a long time, and he had many failures in his legacy of trying to go up the chain of power in politics. And once he claimed power, he was completely fucking ruthless. And the problem is that if you look at LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, after Kennedy was assassinated, he was absolutely the same fucking way. He was completely despicable and ruthless. And he's the one that got the Civil Rights Act. So you have to question of, like, it's the question of, do you actually hate this person because you disagree with what they did, or do you hate them because they were effective in achieving what they desired? And I think we need to start calling out some fucking people.
Yeah, from the left's perspective, obviously, it's because they didn't get what they desired. But I mean, I've become so tired of left-wing moralizing. Like the idea the idea that the left is going to give a fair shake to their opponents is something that has been, I mean, long since discarded, right? I mean, no one thinks that one day, like, people like Owen Jones and Ash Sarkar and, you know, on CNN or wherever, there's something going, you know what, we might have been wrong about Trump. Actually, let's hear him out. Maybe he's got some ideas. You know, they're never going to do that. They want your destruction. They absolutely want your destruction because they think they have the perfect received morality. And it's like, until they realize that they don't, they're going to be this revolutionary force. And so I don't know what to do about them. You know what I mean? But have you heard of the idea of the cathedral?
How do you mean that?
Right, yeah, exactly right. It's like, what does that mean? So this comes out of, like, I guess we'll just call them neo-reactionaries, because that's how they're generally described. Let me...
Do you mean like the French intellectuals?
Kind of, right? So there's some blogger called Mencius Moldbug. I've never read anything by him, but I'm reading just an article about someone who's praising this guy. And he talks about something called the cathedral. Let me give you their overview. Let's find it.
All right, let me get the Discord on the other screen.
Right. So basically, the cathedral, otherwise known as the clerisy or the megaphone, this consists of the press plus academia plus the entertainment industry. I like to refer to these as society's opinion-forming organs. So the quotes are, certainly synchronization is not coordinated by any human hierarchical authority. The system may be Orwellian but has no Goebbels. It may produce Gleichschaltung without a Gestapo. It has a party line without a party. A neat trick. We of the Sith would certainly like to understand it, which is cringe.
Yeah.
So again, he says about them, these people cannot conceive of a world in which they're wrong and the Sarah Palin troglodytes are right, which is fine. And so what I think he means, and like, it seems very obvious to me that this is the case as well. And the cathedral is a great way of describing it, because this is something that we've talked about, you know, like in anti-SJW circles for quite some time. So, like, what people fail to understand is a lot of anti-SJWs are really people who have effectively been kicked out of the left for thinking, shit, what the hell's steamrolling over everything? But like we've been referring to social justice as a religion, right? And it kind of is. And the cathedral is effectively the temporal organs of that religion. It's like the Catholic Church, you know. So
yeah, I see the connection.
Yeah, right. You see, you know, the press, academia. You know, you've got the high priests, you've got the local priests. You know, all the same ideas get passed down from the cardinals of academia through the entertainment industry, which takes the place of the parish priest. You know, the small parish priest. You know, it's putting in every home, putting those ideas in every home. And then you get, I suppose you'd have kings and whatnot who are like the political leaders who are also tied in with this influence for their own popularity and stuff like that, which is Nancy Pelosi and fucking Chuck Schumer wearing the African fucking like scarves or whatever. Yeah. It's like, you know, you can see the cathedral's moving on its own. You know, it's a giant organism, you know, and it's held together by a web of belief. And that's the thing, when he says it's a party line without a party, that's not true, right? The party line is generated internally because it is fundamentally Kantian in nature, right? Mm-hmm. The belief is that every human being is an end in themselves, and each one of these is a moral legislator based around a particular set of maxims. You know, in the social justice conception of the world, it's the oppressed has the truth, and therefore, you know, if I identify myself as being oppressed, I have the truth. this means it's it is effectively like a self-generating thing, because anyone can legislate and anyone can be right and win an argument, make a point through the principles that social justice operates on, be able to force that point logically on other people, which is all argument is, being able to logically force a point that the opponent can't resist. And that's like what's made up this cathedral, and the institutions that are backing it and supporting it and all this sort of stuff. And this is, I don't know whether you've heard this, because this happened very recently, today in fact, but Google has banned Zero Hedge and The Federalist from its advertising.
I saw that on Twitter.
That is fucking staggering, right? And it's because of their coverage of Black Lives Matter. Now, the Federalist, for anyone who doesn't know, is an extremely credible, just basic bitch right-wing Republican website, right? But it's extremely credible. It's intellectual right-wing Republican website. I actually very much like the Federalist in the same way that I very much like Vox, Like, again, I don't necessarily agree with everything they say, but they at least reason themselves. And this is why I talk about Vox quite a lot, because as the left-wing websites go, they are the best of them. And, Ezra Klein knows it.
Yeah.
But the Federalist is one of the best of the right-wing sites. And them just getting dropped by Google because they have an opinion on Black Lives Matter. And I looked at their website. The last article they did about Black Lives Matter is Black Lives Matter activist says your Kellogg's box is racist. Yeah, they probably did. How Black Lives Matter antagonism to marriage and family hurts Black Americans. Well, I'm sure they're making arguments, and it's all stuff like this. It's all just like, if you don't support Black Lives Matter, you're fired. And suddenly Google, if you don't support Black Lives Matter, you're fired, proving their point, from those article titles alone. And so it's just like, right, this is the great cathedral moving now in defense of the faith. Black Lives Matter is the crusade. It is the fucking holy crusade. This is why they're out in the streets. This is why, like, literally tens of thousands of them are out in the fucking streets. And Tucker did a thing today or yesterday where, he's got the clip and it's like, this is a huge movement. It's like, yeah, it is. And this is the jihad of the cathedral that's going on now, and I think this is the best way to understand it. It is a movement of religion, of faith.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Well, they posit things that are either demonstrably wrong, that you can prove wrong, and they just keep repeating it anyways. The shooting with Rayshart in Atlanta, there's people just repeating lies, that he was unarmed, that he didn't do nothing. Like, it's just nakedly obvious.
Let me ask you a quick question. Do you think the stories about any of the Christian martyrs are true?
Which do you mean?
Any of them? Do you think that the stories that we have received from the ages about the Christian martyrs are true? Or do they have a one-sided interpretation for the sake of presenting this person as a martyr?
Well, I would say, especially any that have been basically written or garnered or gathered and officiated by such an institution like the Catholic Church, I would say that chances are those have been manipulated to serve their own purposes.
Exactly. But it's the same with any martyrdom, right? The story is what matters. The facts of it don't really matter, because they're just going to get left out. They're going to get forgotten in time. Nobody's going to care. The only people who are going to talk about George Floyd in like 100 years are probably going to be people of this ideological lineage. Like, if these people all disappear tomorrow and everyone forgets about all this, then Republicans aren't going to talk about George Floyd in 100 years. But these people, if they win, they will be. He'll be in all the history books, and it'll be a one-sided history. And then you'll get the people on the other side going, well, hang on a second, in the same way they're doing to us now.
I think that ties neatly into what's going on with the right, what you can categorize as the right. I think the right, with the issue you've just named of the Federalists and Zero Hedge getting removed from Google AdSense or whatever, and including today's executive order with Trump, I think.
Oh, what was that? I'm not.
Just somewhat vague standards that the White House is suggesting, and they're suggesting like a ban on headlocks or whatever it is.
Oh, chokeholds.
Chokeholds, yeah. Which that by itself, objectively speaking, there is an argument to continue that practice and that it's preferable to other things. And the issue is, though, I think the White House and a decent number of conservatives are making every single conceivable wrong move. And
They're
that
conceding
is
a lot, aren't they?
where you should do nothing. That's the best move, is to do nothing. They're making moves. They're doing things. That's a mistake. You're creating... Thankfully today, Trump didn't come out and say structural racism, blah, 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 which that would have been a critical mistake for his reelection. That would have been, and I'm sure, and you can quote me, you can go to Sticks, Hexenhammer, anybody. If he would have come out and said, because this stupid cunt, that whoever the blonde chick is that works for him, she said that shit. If that, any person with a fucking brain in that building, anyone that's part of the Trump team, the second she said structural racism is real, she should have been fired on the fucking spot. Because that is the entire Democrat fucking platform at this point.
Yeah.
When you concede your opponent's argument to that degree, you are setting up your own fucking failure. So I thank God Almighty, as an atheist, thank God, Trump didn't say that shit today. Because it would have been a fucking coup de grace for the Democrats at that moment. And fucking just every day, dude, Biden is coming out in his basement releasing gaffe after gaffe after gaffe. It's so terrible and sad.
Yeah.
Literally, like yesterday or today, he was like, I'm going to defeat Joe Biden. It's
that was a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, was
but
it?
It was still an amazing. Yeah, it was still an amazing gaffe. It's like, only Joe Biden can defeat Joe Biden.
Are you sure?
So.
He might have said it again.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I'm not going to rule it out, but yeah, the entire Republican position, in my opinion, does hinge on the fact that America is not a racist country.
Yes, if you concede that America is evil, you have basically given the green light. Like, you have fully opened the door.
It's the end of the Patriot
for
cause.
the communists.
It's the end of the Patriot cause.
Yeah.
If you concede that there is an original sin that can't be expunged from the United States, then that's it. It's never going to be good enough.
One of the good things that Trump said was something to the extent of, we should build upon our heritage, something like that. Like, that is a good message to send.
Yeah, that is good.
The speech wasn't particularly good of what I saw of it, but at least he didn't fuck up so badly. But the thing is, like I said, the move for Trump to make is not, again, the 10% concession of endless policy changes when you have cities burning down. Like, now is not the time for random policy changes of police that are struggling to contain mobs of people looting and burning down cities. And I was going to say to you before we went live, there was, and I'm going to talk about this in a video at some point, and I'm surprised AIU hasn't done a video on this. He touched on this but didn't talk about it fully. There was an active cover-up in Chicago at the end of May, early June. It was like all the shit we saw in Minneapolis and Atlanta and all these cities. It was unbelievable what happened in Chicago, and it is virtually impossible to find any articles on it.
Well, what happened?
It was
I don't know what happened.
Crazy looting, crazy levels of violence. It was total fucking anarchy.
Oh yeah, they had
Chicago.
the murder spike, didn't they?
That was after. That was when the news media resumed. We don't actually know what happened. Oh. The only way we know something went on there was because there was a leaked call from between the mayor of Chicago, Littlefoot, and her alderman in the city that was taped and leaked by one of the aldermen, Lopez something.
Mm-hmm.
And every alderman in the city was talking about how it was just total bedlam, like anarchy, like the last days of fucking Gomorrah in Chicago. And I looked it up. There is no reporting on what happened. No reporting during that time period of what happened. So we don't know to the extent of what actually happened in Chicago. It was a cover-up. All the news, like, you can go look it up. The news
Yeah,
media
no, I believe you. I believe you.
did not report what was going on there. And so the question is, how bad was it? Like, you have to, like, go speak to some people on the ground in Chicago. What happened at the end of May, the beginning of June? What happened? Because we don't know. But, yeah, I'm going to do a video on that call because it's like politician after politician in each one of these districts in Chicago discussing how fucking bad it was. That
I heard the leaked audio.
Yeah.
That's what you. Yeah, that's mental.
I listened to the whole thing.
The fact that he's like, "Fuck you," you know, like.
Yeah, well,
don't
he
tell me I
wasn't.
don't know
He
what I'm
wasn't
talking
the only one, basically having like an emotional argument with the mayor there, because there were parts of the city where every store was looted. It was a robbery in every single store in that district. And that despite having 13,000 police officers, every district of the city was turned into a fucking war zone. And they said, and I saw one of these guys who's like right or alt-right affiliated, he tweeted about this, that one of the gangs in Chicago was actively patrolling the business district because the police were just not there. So gang members had stepped up for the police because the police just weren't present. That's how fucking bad it was in Chicago those days.
Yeah.
None of this was fucking reported. So,
I'm not surprised, though. I mean, what are they going to say? It's going to make their cause look bad. Again, this is the cathedral protecting its own.
Yes.
Like, these are the foot soldiers of the fucking cathedral. Who benefits from small businesses being smashed in? It's not the Republicans, is it?
Getting back, sorry.
I bet if you looked, I bet that small businesses who want, the independent-minded entrepreneurial types who want low taxes, I bet they overwhelmingly vote Republican. And what's just been fucking ruined? Yeah, a bunch of small fucking businesses. The giant corporations don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
they're going to get
Amazon's been making money hand over fucking fist ever since COVID-19.
Perfect state of fucking affairs for Amazon. They couldn't ask for better.
What I love about COVID-19 is that it basically, like, people like you and I who are status scum, it is like the libertarians and the ANCAPs are proven completely right about the economy. That the big businesses, because they're sanctioned, like Walmart is safe from disease for some reason. Amazon is perfectly safe. Don't worry about their drivers and all the people lifting the packages, sealing the packages, handling the packages. Don't worry about any of them. Mm-hmm. That's all perfectly safe. They make billions and billions of dollars because the government has shut down every single one of their competitors.
Their competition, their fucking competition. Like, do you know the crazy state of affairs in my country at the moment? Right, I went to town today to see what I could and couldn't do. I couldn't get a haircut. I couldn't, go to like a climbing gym or something like that, go to the gym. There are, services generally are still shut, but non-essential shops are open. So I can go and get myself, hammer and nails in the tool shop. There's a Dyson or something it's called. Dyers, maybe. Like, some fucking local tool shop. I can go in there. There are loads of people in there buying nails, but they can't get haircuts. And it's like, okay, why? Like, come on. This is like, you're all standing next to each other. The place is packed. It's like, fuck off. And the thing is, no one's sick. Motherfuckers, I can't go and get a cup of coffee, but you're all just standing around, like, touching the same things in, like, the clothes shops. Picking up the things, putting them down. It's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just fucking...
The next Change My Mind for Steven Crowder is going to be on COVID-19, the death numbers. He's going to get banned off of YouTube for that.
You think so?
Yeah, I think I think that video is going to get censored by YouTube in some capacity, because it really is their excuse. They got their excuse now. You have the authoritative sources, and there's been a bunch of censorship around COVID-19, despite all this bullshit where it's like, yesterday, you can't even, especially in the UK, you can't even go into your own yard. But today, as long as you're ripping down statues, you're good to go.
It's mad. It's fucking mad. Again, it's the cathedral. This is why the concept of the cathedral is important, right? Because anything that's beneficial to the cathedral is permissible,
Yeah.
and it's only permissible as long as it's not beneficial to the other side.
Yeah.
And even then, when the other side does it and your side does it, it's only the other side that's bad.
Mhm.
You know, it's like and then things. It's actually it's fucking frustrating. Just being like, okay, fine. It's literally going to come down to we are not going to be fair. Fuck
Yeah.
you. It's victory at all costs. If that's what you're saying.
Well, you
It's
had
like, okay, well
dude,
that's fine.
You had Tucker Carlson on television the other day saying that the left has basically endorsed that violence is acceptable for the pursuit of their own power, and it's like
Yes.
you have. I mean, yes, that is true. You have the most famous conservative at this point on mainstream television just coming
Losing
right
advertisers.
coming
losing
right
advertisers.
Yes.
Again, the cathedral reacts, has a solution, launches a crusade. You know, they've got their fucking like. How long is it going to be until Tucker's harassed at his house again?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
I agree. They're gonna as long as he's out there stepping up and saying what they
And he
actually are
is.
doing, and he is, they are gonna come at him hard.
Yeah, Tucker is like the best of 2017 anti-SJW at this point. Like
Yeah.
he's hitting every note repeatedly, you know, and fearlessly, and it's like fucking hell, man. You know, Tucker Carlson 2024, man.
Yeah, he also the other day he did a monologue about strong leaders. I think this might have been yesterday. He did a monologue about strong leaders and hit Trump in that monologue about
Really?
not acting. And I have to agree. Like I said, with the conservatives and Republicans with this BLM situation, the rioting situation, they've acted where they should have done nothing, and they haven't acted where they should. It is well overdue that the congressional Republicans who have done fuck all about anything to go after Google, Facebook, Twitter, all of these companies, including others, that are actively going after Republicans and conservatives in the fashion that they can, and go after them in a way to use state power against them, to injure them, to show other corporations that are not yet engaging in that behavior that there will be a price to pay should they choose to do what these companies have been doing.
So there's definitely, I mean, there is truth in the fact that Trump at the moment looks weak, and because of lack of action. But I think it's very possible to parlay this into a position of strength as things go on, because at the end of the day, the government has to happen by consent. You know, the Democrats have to consent to being ruled by Trump in the same way that the Republicans consented to Obama ruling over them.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump is not a dictator. You've got an awful amount of, well, not an awful, but an awful lot of power dispersal in the United States. The fact that the Democratic governors, the Democrat states that this is happening in, are just hands off, letting it happen.
Sure.
Trump very much could literally just say, look, I'm not the dictator of this country. I can't make the people who have been delegated that power use it. You are the ones who vote. If you want more of this, vote for that person.
Sure.
Because that's what they're encouraging. It's frustrating watching him not do this, though.
Yes.
You know, because it's got more than bad enough now that he can just say, look, I am not the king. You know, he could literally stand on that most American of principles.
Yes.
You know, and say, look, I can't just force them. They have to choose it. And if they're not choosing it, you can force them because you vote.
Yeah.
You know, and that is a message that literally, what are they going to say? Oh, he's not being a dictator. Yeah, exactly. He's not. Now it's on you. You know, now the burden doesn't, like, everyone's treating the office of the president like he's the fucking caliph or something.
Yeah.
It's really annoying. And Obama completely encouraged this among the left.
Yes.
You know, the left are unbelievably obsequious to power. And so it literally is, Trump could undercut the entire thing, go right back to those sort of individualistic American values, going, look, folks, I'm here because you put me here, and that's why they're there. You're the ones who can deal with these people. I don't have the authority.
It could be down to, I agree completely with you. It could come down to a simple, pithy tweet by Trump of, I wish I could act in these
But I'm not the
Democrat
king.
fiefdoms, but
Yeah.
they didn't vote for me, and so I have no power. Or they didn't vote for Republicans, so we didn't have any power there.
No, better than that. Like, I wish I could act in these Democrat fiefdoms, however. But I'm not the king. You know that.
Yeah,
I think that's brilliant.
sure.
That
It could be as
fucking
simple as that
smash
too, and I'd agree.
Yeah.
It would be very. The thing you have to do as well is do the backroom chat of all the right-wing media and that, and
Fox News,
push
that's
that,
it.
push that forward, because what that also does is undercut their platform for 2020. It undercuts their messaging. Because fucking Joe Biden's out there being like, yo, bro, I got a silver bullet solution. I'm going to solve this. Elect me. It's like, motherfucker, you've been in office 50 years. What the fuck have you done other than instigate this shit?
Motherfucker, this problem is coming from the left. What the fuck are you going to do? You know, like, this is the thing. Trump should be just saying, well, look, did these people vote Democrat or vote Republican? You tell me. You know, they just, obviously, these are not Trump supporters. You know, you can't pin this on Trump.
There's ways in which the Republicans and conservatives can act by pushing the messaging, but I've seen it, and it's not ubiquitous, but it is approaching that of, you're right, what should we do? Well, we can do this, we can ban that, we can change this. It's like, well, one, that's utterly erroneous, because this is the 10-90 split. What you should be talking about is black behavior. Jesse Lee Peterson and all these other, I've seen a ton of black people on social media, including the Hodge twins actually did a good perspective of, this is just an election year, real politic. That's very good. That's true. But I've also seen plenty of people like Jesse Lee Peterson be like, nope, 90-10 split, the 90-10 split, 90% black behavior. And it's like, yes, that's the fucking truth.
Yeah. I mean, Jesse Lee Peterson is just the most based person.
I mean, dude, the other day, I don't know if I sent this to you or not, he was like, some fucking retard, the Africans were like, yeah, we need to invite marginalized black people back to Africa. And Jesse Lee Peterson's like, yeah, go back. It's like...
yeah, I know, yeah. I sent it to Afro Hirsch.
It's like, I can't say that I disagree, because there's plenty of black people that, and it's not even just the MAGA hat types. There's plenty of black people that get it. Like, they're not these fuck America types, and they understand that even if they're not the MAGA types, they are America first ultimately. Yeah. And the issue is that it's very easy to distinguish the fucking useless joggers apiece that are out of the gutter that we can afford to fucking lose, and the people who fundamentally are grifting or otherwise believe this country to be evil.
Yeah.
And if, I was thinking about this earlier today as I was mowing my lawn, like, cut welfare and let's just create a nation. Buy out a nation in Africa, and it's just like, there you go. There you go. You want to start Wakanda? We'll buy it for you. Just go. It's probably cheaper that way.
You've done this before.
I mean, we have built up nations.
No,
Palau
but
is an
literally that's what Liberia was.
Yeah. That was the example people were citing to me on social media. But it's like...
Right, hang on. I'll send you a video about it afterwards.
Okay, yeah.
Academic Agent did an amazing video.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because it turned into a kind of two-tier apartheid state between the American immigrants and the native tribes. Like the Americans lived in the cities, and the native tribes basically got subjugated by them. And it's like, that's interesting. Interesting how it goes exactly the wrong way. The liberty, freedom, equality. Fuck all that. We've got people to oppress now, and that's all we really wanted.
I think that it's so unpalatable at this point, with the exception of someone like Charlie Kirk. He's gone over Charlie. The edge. Like I said, you and I, at some point, we're gonna have to flank him from the left and start debating him back. But unfortunately for too many conservatives, except for they leave this to the handful of black conservatives, and even the handful of black conservatives, they're not getting promoted when they're talking about black behavior. There's so much cowardice at this point to talk about the real issue here, is that we can continue reforming these fucking stupid police departments, In my area, I don't have like a police department that I have to rely on. Like I got local constables, like town constables, and I got sheriffs. Like, and there's nothing more democratic than a sheriff. So what the fuck? What do you want? Find me your fucking solution beyond direct elected police. It's like, but if we just look at these city-controlled, appointed police from a mayor's office, where they appoint everything and they have the control over everything, it's like you can continue reforming it as we have been for 100 and what it would be, like 140 years, 150 years that we've had policing, like professional police. I think you in the UK probably have had it longer than we've had it.
Not that much longer, actually. I think it was like 1830s.
Okay, so a few more decades. It's like we've been reforming it since its inception. But the problem, and I've seen people retweeting this and sending me this on Twitter, and I agree with all of you sending me this, it comes down to human error. Like, you're never going to be, like, these aren't RoboCops. They're just going to continue making mistakes. There's no way that you could, because if you're having millions and millions and millions of interactions, like when everything was going on in Chicago, there was something like 26,000 calls to 911 in a day. Like tens of thousands of interactions with police in a day, and you think that you're going to fucking solve this with some random fucking policy?
It's especially with communities that have such high crime rates.
Yes.
It's like there's just very little you can do about that. If there's a high degree of criminality in any community, then that's going to be dangerous generally. You'd expect more people killed, more things to go wrong. And
yes, it's just
it's
simple probability. Like cold hard facts, it is probability.
Yeah. And it's the ethical failings of that community that you have to talk about. What's the cause of this kind of behavior? Why are they acting like this? And no one wants to address it. And I'm completely convinced it's the fatherlessness thing.
I think it's a few things, but I would say that while fatherlessness isn't the silver bullet, it's approaching it. It's approaching it to what desperately needs to happen.
What do you think? What do you think is the root of the problem then?
Well, I would say that if you were to summarize it, if you have to summarize it in a certain way, then yes, it would be the fatherlessness. Because I think that, especially as it results, in terms of the dysfunction of men in particular, it is that. But generally with the community, I would say that there are several things going on, and one of those things.
Oh yeah. There are loads of
contributing factors.
Problems.
Contributing factors.
Yeah. But I do think the root cause of it is the breakup of the family.
Yes, I would agree with you, but I do think another aspect to this, to where the more ANCAP libertarian types, like high sort of conservative types are right, that there is no personal feeling of attachment or ownership of what they have because it's given to them by the state. I think public housing, welfare, all of these sort of things, even including like the vast availability of university loans, even that I benefited by, I don't think that these things are contributing to a better society, because anything that's just freely given to you isn't cherished. It isn't something that you think you have earned or you are possessive of because you've worked.
Something given has no value. Yeah,
you
totally
haven't anything that you've worked to your fingers down to a nub to earn, to own. Like you cherish, even if it's something even to some degree sentimental. Like, and I'm like this to a certain degree. Like, and I've talked to people about this. I've had debates even in real life when I was at your events with people about, and you could say this is more of like a Rorschach test. Someone comes up to you, and let's say it's not where they put a gun to your head, but let's say they got a bat, and you got a gun. You have a gun in your waistband or in a holster. And that robber, it's a robber, he comes up to you, he threatens you with the bat, and he says, "Give me your wallet." Well, there's a variation in terms of what can happen, and obviously you're not going to get killed. If it's a circumstance you got a gun to your back of your head, there's two guys, or they knock your ass out, they're going to be able to lift your wallet. But the situation is, the moral quandary is, do you give away what you've earned? Are you willing to let go of what you have earned? Or do you hold to a principle that you will not give away what you have earned? And I think that I know the answer for you, because of that Teespring incident where it's like, thousands of dollars, fuck it.
Well, there's nothing I can do about it.
No, you can hound them, because it might be fruitless, but man, every fucking day I'd wake up, I'd be sending a message to those fucking cocksuckers, wanting some kind of response to at least get the fucking money that you've earned, because what they did to you, as far as I can see, is fucking unlawful.
They just cite their terms of service, saying you agreed to our terms of service, therefore you agree that we're free to terminate this at any time and keep any money outstanding. I was like, well, fuck me then.
I guess, but it seems to me
like,
that
what can I do?
If you wouldn't have taken down the links, they were still accepting orders. They were still taking orders. So as far as I can tell, that's fucking fraud.
Sure, but there's not really a lot I'm going to be able to do. It'll take years to do anything. It'll cost unbelievable amounts of money, and I probably won't win that.
Possibly, but
I would, and I don't think I'd win.
Even if I wouldn't say you'd have to go that far, I would say you can push it to the point of trying to at least hound them enough to see if you can make dialogue with someone, and they can just pay you out to pay out the money to shut you up. I think there is a possibility that happens. I've seen that happen with other people.
Maybe, but it would cost a lot of money to get to that point, and I
don't think so.
No, man,
Oh, sure. I know you're busy.
I think it would. I think it would, and I really do have more important things. There are other T-shirts.
You have employees. What you need to do is you probably haven't played the first Evil Genius game, but when it comes to your henchmen, what you need to do is just go and just point at what you need done and let them handle it.
I'll take that into consideration.
Yeah, that's what employees are for. Anyways, so getting back to the moral quandary, the question is, would you accept someone taking your possessions that you have rightly earned, or are you willing to take their life to hold on to your possessions? What is more valuable to you? Is it that person's life, or is it what you have earned? And I think that, from my point of view, that when you are willing to violate another's human rights, I don't recognize your human rights. If you're willing to violate my rights, why should I recognize yours?
Well, I mean, we shouldn't just abandon the concept of human rights.
No, I'm not. I'm not
abandoning
human rights for everyone else.
I agree that they should have due process.
My sense of due process is the barrel of a gun, because it's one for one. It's my property and it's your life. That's the thing you're putting, because when it comes to any interaction like that, a criminal action like that, or a violent action like that, the threat of violence and so on, you are it's in essence like a card game, and you are putting chips on the table and betting on what your hand is. And so am I. Now, I could fold and say, take the wallet. Just take it, fuck it. I'm not risking this shit. But if you want to play, then it's a matter of you're putting your life on the line. You've bet your life.
If someone is attacking you and trying to, in the middle of, doing whatever, yeah, you have every right to defend yourself. I agree.
Right, but I'm just saying that from a more moral perspective, that it is in essence a matter of how much are you willing to lose in that interaction?
Yeah.
And the thing that I think that people think about more of is not the danger of the person with the bat who wants your wallet, but what will I lose if I take a life? I think a lot of people are thinking about that as it relates to that kind of issue. What will I lose in taking that person's life? And in my perspective is nothing. You have to gain back what your property is. That's what you stand to gain, is what you earned back, rather than lose it. Because when it comes to robbery and that kind of thing, not necessarily the conviction rate, but whatever it is, the clearance rate for cases for police,
Mm-hmm.
it's 0. It's next to nothing for property crimes.
I obviously support the rooftop Koreans, so you know.
Yeah, well, exactly. So yeah, we agree, and I think it's obvious. But I'm putting this out more to my audience to think about. That when it comes to this, I even had this debate the other day with my parents about the jogger in fucking Atlanta with the taser. It's like I don't view this as this person, this criminal, this violent felon who's been convicted as a child abuser as well. Great fucking guy. Who it is? I believe it was his own child that he was convicted of abusing. Right. I don't understand why we are so held to the idea that this guy is someone that we need to be concerned about. This guy who is willing to engage in potentially deadly violence with police because they're fighting on fucking concrete, and he's punching them in the head while they're on concrete. It's like everyone's concerned about that guy, but no one gives a fucking shit about the two tools of the state, the police. They're just useless tools, bags of flesh for the state. You know, I can't stand how little humanity is given to these officers and the exaggeration of the humanity of this piece of shit criminal who is willing to violate every single conceivable right of everyone around him.
Well, one person is a foot soldier of the cathedral and the other is not.
I don't even know if that's a fair assessment of him. He is an unwitting or unwilling, he's a body for the church.
Of the jogger, of the jogger, not of the police officer.
I would say
joggers are the useful idiot.
The foot soldier is the guy that was on scene after that happened, screaming about how he didn't do nothing.
Well, yeah,
and that went viral. That guy is the foot soldier because he's actively pushing the narrative, the falsehood, for the sake of the entity.
He's like the priest or whatever. It turns up.
No, not he's the parishioner or the member of the church.
Yeah. But the point is, it's an identifiable pattern, and I think we should be cognizant of it.
Well, I think that if we're going to get down to the bare bones of the question of whose humanity has value, then I want this to at least be a two-sided debate, because I am more than willing to join the side of those serving the law, especially those elected to serve, the interests of the law, that their lives truly do have value in many ways, and that those that crawl from the gutter of our societies, I'm here to tell you that they're not equal in terms of humanity, in terms of value. They don't have equal value. If we're going to debate human value, which people are at this point, especially from the opposite side, okay, let's do it. Let's go. Because
I love the sermons.
I got to tell you that
I agree though. This is why I did the video yesterday called "The Far Right Deserves Representation." Like,
oh sure, yeah.
I agree. Like, if you're gonna sit there and attack one person one way all the time, then really we have to hear from that person, see what the fucking conclusion of it is, if nothing else.
Yeah, I agree, and it's ultimately one of the attacks of the cathedral. I'll just say is. The thing they're trying to topple isn't necessarily the statues of Thomas Jefferson, which they're doing currently. They're currently attacking statues of founding fathers.
Yeah, but I mean, like the statue argument is amazing.
Well, hold on. Let me finish what I was going to say. Let me finish.
Okay,
it isn't about the statues that they want to topple. They're trying to topple fairness. That's what they want to topple. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, and you can tell in their rhetoric when they're coming at you. It's like, we want to get rid of the statue. It's an evil slave trader, blah blah. As in, the statue has all of this meaning, and then as soon as you say, okay, but the statue has this meaning, I don't want to get rid of it. They're like, well, it's just a statue. It's just a lump of bone. It's like, well, then don't worry about it. Then you can go on your way, can't you? It either has meaning or it doesn't. You fucking duplicitous shit.
Yeah, it's absolutely so disingenuous. It's not stupidity.
Yeah. No, I honestly, it might be a form of brainwashing. It might be they don't even realize.
Maybe, but I have to say that for anyone that's out, like maybe the people pulling down the statues, no fucking way, that's malevolence.
Well, hang on. Those people are the useful idiots. This is why I call these the foot soldiers rather than a part of the cathedral. Like these are the people who like just fight because of some other thing that they don't understand. Like, for example, one of the Black Lives Matter protesters in London, during the protest that defaced the Winston Churchill statue, was asked who was Winston Churchill, and she was like, well, I've never met him, but I haven't heard any good things. It's like, they don't fucking know. They don't know that he's dead. Like, they don't know who he is. They don't know anything about this. They've just been told this is like anti-racism, and therefore, you know, and it's that's carrying the whole fucking thing forward.
Yeah, I can't say that I haven't enjoyed much of what I've seen, especially coming out of the UK. It hasn't really been too great.
Let me just be clear to the audience, right? In the last 10 years, the British police killed a total of 163 people, and 9 of those were black. We do not have a police violence problem in the UK. There's no problem with police violence against black people.
BLM,
Rainbow police. You know.
BLM in the UK it has to be one of the most astroturf things I've ever seen in my life.
Totally.
In the United States, you can have all your grievance hustle and all that shit. We've always had it, but the issue is with police is, especially this other angle, it's like, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but there's still quite a bit more violence in the United States than other countries. Like, and the thing is too, and this is my sense of the United States, we're always going to be violent. We're always going to be violent, because name a point in American history where it hasn't been violent here. Name a point. Never.
Well,
it's always been violent. It's part of our culture. It's part of our ethos. Is violence. Like,
but the thing is,
you go ahead.
Violence is a part of every culture.
Sure, absolutely. But I would say that it's not necessarily, it's part of every society, but I don't think it's necessarily ingrained in the culture, such as it is here.
I don't know, man. Like, you'd have to go to somewhere like Sweden or something to find that, because in most cultures, like, you know, a warrior ethos has always been part of it. I mean, I'm not saying America isn't like that as well. It is, of course. You know, they're like the Turks, man. They've got a violent society as well in many regards. You know, it's like, and it's not, you know, it's a lot of the world is very violent. Like, you know, and it's just one of those things that we don't talk about because it's just a standard thing. It's just normal for those places.
I would say that you are correct, but I would still reiterate that I don't know whether it is what angle it would be from, whether it's you know, not necessarily like the warrior culture that eventually became like sort of a stoicism that exists throughout the world, but like in the United States, there's like a cavalier attitude towards engaging in a certain degree of violence. Like, there is an acceptability. And that's what I distinguish. And my point is I think outside of the fucking faggy leftist shithole cities, that will always exist in the United States. And so when it comes to violence in the United States, my position is, at some point, it's going to be like car accidents in a given year. You're just going to have to get used to it. You're just going to have some level of acceptability that when it comes to, and it's like I say with you're right that it is true a certain amount in every society, but like an example would be the difference between Japan, where there's virtually no gun violence, versus the United States, where there's an incredible amount of gun violence and shootings. In the United States, I think that with our culture, you are going to have to accept some amount of gun violence because, not because of a utilitarian position of, well, simply based on the numbers, we're going to have it, but that our culture
in the ethos of the culture is the gun, is, you know, it's part of the founding myth of America. You know, so you are always going to have a certain percentage of the population that are like me in essence, whether they understand it or not, that see the lawful, righteous, productive citizen shooting down a criminal, and we cheer. You know, we like that, and it goes with just that, and like 1,000 things with sports and the UFC and all this. It's like one of our pioneering things in the United States is violence. we don't necessarily have a monopoly on it, of course, but like we would like to. Well, yeah, but like that's the culture that you have.
Yeah, and I would say that outside of what we could curb, which I think is gang violence and the acceptance of sort of the worst aspect of gang culture, although even in our own media we cherish like mob movies and so on and sort of gangsterism, but the issue of the acceptability of actual gang violence in inner cities and so on.
Yeah.
The problem is that even there, let's say someday black fathers rise up and we really curb the amount of inner city dysfunction, you are still going to have the white bikers and so on in the rural parts. Like, you're still going to have gangsterism and gang affiliation and that sort of deal. It's just one of those things that I don't know if we're ever going to be able to really rub out, because it's just so part and parcel. Like it, like
yeah,
these.
but you don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's fine. You don't need to do anything about like biker gangs if they're not burning cities down and killing people and stuff. Like
Well,
harming Joe Public. You don't need to necessarily do anything about it.
I would say that irrespective of the actual, the degree in human rights violations or civil violations versus so-called victimless crimes, I would still say that in terms of the ideal of the law, that regardless of there being an actual victim or not, the law should still be enforced. And if you are violating the law, then you should still be punished. That's the way in which I view the law, is that if we want the law to mean anything, everyone is culpable to it.
Yeah, that's correct. I agree.
Well, you're seemingly arguing for leniency towards so-called victimless crimes, and I guess this is another Rorschach moment. I don't believe in compromise as it relates to that.
I don't believe in compromise.
Serve your sentence and shut your fucking mouth. That's my position.
It depends. It depends on the crime. It depends on the circumstance. But this is why judges have leeway in their judgments, and this is why you want a judge.
I think our courts have a little too much leeway at this point.
That doesn't surprise me.
I think we went from like the 90s of mandatory minimums to the 2000s of the bail laws, where there's all kinds of assaults happening in New York City, and they're just letting everyone out. Everyone's getting out. It's just a free for all, and they keep committing crimes. If that isn't clown world, then I don't know what is.
Didn't the Seattle police chief or whoever it was say there have been a bunch of rapes and whatnot in the autonomous zone?
I don't know the source of that statistic. There's been a few floating around about the chops or whatever they're calling it now. But it is my worst conceivable fear is basically the state, the voters, everyone standing down. And the warning that I have, and it's the video that I want to do.
That's only because it's the worst case scenario.
The thing is, though, I think, and I don't know if this is true for every city, it's true for fucking Philadelphia, though, that the middle-aged, the Gen Xers, the white working class, and including blacks and other people that are part of that class that see themselves as the same, they're going to show up. And I'm going to tell you, if you want the state to fail in certain cities and so on, certain neighborhoods, okay, fine. Let's do it.
Because when it comes to the suburbs, you'll get militias. You
will get. There already are militias starting. And that shooting that happened the other day at that statue that was getting ripped down, it went viral the other day of some guy getting hit with a skateboard and he shoots the guy. It's pretty iffy right now as far as I can see of fault, because the guy, for some reason, like grabbed this woman and threw her to the ground, and that's why they started chasing after him. So that one's questionable. But the fact is, justice doesn't matter to the vigilantes. From your perspective, how you conceive of justice, that doesn't matter to the vigilantes. The vigilantes decide what justice is. And if you want to get rid of the police, get rid of the state, then I wholly believe this. I wholly support vigilantism once you get rid of the police. Once you remove the state, I wholly endorse vigilantism.
What other options do you have?
Exactly. But here's the reason why. I fundamentally believe that law is necessary, that order is fundamental to any decent society, and that these men are fundamentally trying to protect their family. They're fundamentally trying to protect their loved ones.
Yeah.
They're doing this out of love. They're not doing this from my philosophical beliefs of the law and order and that sort of thing about society. They're doing it out of love and fear of what they have to lose. So fuck anyone that's against vigilantism when the state has forsaken the citizen. Fuck anyone that's opposed to it. I don't care who they are. Fuck you. But when it comes to the vigilantes, if you get rid of the police and the vigilantes show up, which in certain cities such as Philadelphia, they will, you are getting what you fucking deserve. You did this. You made them completely necessary, and you have justified their actions because you removed the actual authority, the elected authority. You've removed it for them, so they have no other choice but to do this. So I can't believe that we're going to enter into, and I know this is going to happen. You're going to have a moment where, like in a city like Philadelphia, the police are going to get stood down like they are in Seattle. The white predominantly working class are going to show up first with aluminum bats and later with guns. Yeah. They're going to start kicking the shit out of all these communists and killing them. And everyone
sounds like a popcorn session.
Everyone is going to fucking melt down and blame the vigilantes. But that will be a fucking lie. It will be a lie. Because what gave vigilantes the license to do everything that they're going to do, or potentially what they could do, is them, the rioters and those that took the righteous authority of which we've invested the sole ability to exercise force to a lethal end. We've removed them, so what else is there but for that to happen? And if you are the ones that call for that and achieve that, you are at fault for everything that then happens to you.
It's literally the Democrats standing down saying we're going to dissolve the police forces necessitates the use of violence in one's personal defense.
Yes.
There's no question of it. You aren't going to be able to blame anyone else.
You are correct.
It's their ideas.
You are correct about personal defense, but I'm saying that it never, when this kind of thing happens, and we've seen this with other examples, and including I had somebody talk to me about what happened in Brazil with a police strike. It never just happens where people are standing on their own properties, defending their own properties. They leave their property and they branch out into their communities to lock it down. And
they're going to go where they're needed.
Yes. And as they secure their community, there will be those that oppose them. And if you are not trained, you're not bound by any law in your own mind, you're just bound by your own conscience, that is up to that person's sole discretion in terms of what level of force they use. What
are you going to do? Call the cops?
Well, that's what all these fucking cocksuckers keep saying. It's driving me nuts.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Oh God, someone call the cops. Like, what fucking cops? You abolished them, you motherfuckers. That's why you had them in the first place. So when some guy came along with a gun and started pushing you around, you had some recourse. But no, you were unhappy about that. Sorry.
But the thing I can't stand, the lie that is occurring here, is that these Democrat politicians, they're not really abolishing the police, at least not yet. They might in Seattle to some degree, who knows how fucking crazy they are. But what they're doing is they're taking the police, and if you imagine it like a chessboard, they're pulling the pieces off the board. And then the other side advances, whether it's the right wing, the left wing, the anarchists, or the vigilantes, whoever's advancing, they advance. And then when like that thing that happened where the guy gets hit with a skateboard and he shoots him, then all the police rush in. Then they push the police forward. It's like, you're setting up anarchy. You're doing this. You know that the police could otherwise be there, but you pull them fucking back and allow this anarchy to take place. This whole thing is not a matter of resources. It's not a matter of, dismantling the police or any of the shit. This is all a game to these politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really frustrating to me that so much of the violence that occurs, the looting that occurs, all this shit that's occurring, it's because the Democrats are pulling the police back.
Yeah. They did this in Portland with Antifa over the last few years. What's the name? Ted Wheeler is his name. Literally, you see the police not doing anything.
Right.
Antifa's terrorizing people in the
It's
streets.
exactly what happened with Andy Ngo.
Berkeley. Yeah, exactly. Berkeley as well. The same thing happened. Like, the Democrats are afraid. They know that this is their constituents. They know they can't turn on them or else they get fucked.
It's so frustrating to me that the narrative isn't, like, even among the right, there is people that will discuss the issue of the police being pulled back and that sort of thing because it's fairly obvious. But I don't think people are diving into that the degree that I think they should, because it's the choices. Like, every one of these people that are getting injured, shot, the businesses that are going out of business because of looting and so on, like, that is all based on the choice of these politicians. And what I want to see is, and I think Tucker might have done something like this, is wall to wall, name and shame every single one of these cocksucking politicians that are choosing to do this.
Yep.
Because this is, in my view, morally outrageous.
People have died.
Yeah.
Like, how much worse does it need to get? Cities are on fire. But the rioting and the looting just isn't stopping. There's currently an autonomous zone that's declared independence in Seattle. Like, how much worse does it have to fucking get before you're like, okay, maybe now?
Yeah. I just think that I really wish that the right generally, like, they are taking a kind of pithy attitude towards it. Like, and I think you had it right with, like, and this would be perfect, of elect more Democrats and burning cars and shit like that. Like, that's smart. That's a good strategy.
It's good propaganda, that, isn't it? It fucking hits.
But I'm waiting for more like the high conservative types of oh god, what's something Prager University of Dennis Prager, like the high conservative types, and especially the moralizing types like Ben Shapiro and others. Like, where is the moral consideration for these choices that are being taken? That are being made. Where all this harm, all of these things that have gone wrong, because of the active choice that these politicians are making to hold the police back. Like, this is unbelievably and unquestionably evil. And I want to hear more about that. I have not heard enough about that, because
I mean, did you see in the Chaz, whatever we're calling it now, the guy who owned, like, the workshop or whatever it was, and they just came along and smashed down his fence and then looted it, and he's just, like, I watched an interview with him and he's just completely lucid, and he's like, well, I just want law and order. I don't want this to happen. I appreciate that they're worried about racism and all this sort of stuff, but this this isn't solving any of the problems, and I don't feel that anyone's listening to me. And that's the key part. It's like Trump and the Republicans just need to get Republicans on the ground talking to those people. Say, listen, we're against these riots. Vote Republican. We'll sort this out. That's what you've got, a Democrat governor or whatever. That's the problem. They could be making a lot of hay out of this, and they're not.
I think that a smart move, it might be more dangerous, but I think it's a smart move, is take some wannabe, like let's say you're running in the GOP primary, or you're running for GOP in, like, a losing situation in the city. Take some of these politicians, maybe have, like, a bodyguard with them. If it gets too crazy, give them an American flag on a pole to hold. Send them in.
That sounds dangerous to me.
And say, I want to debate you guys. I want to talk to you guys. I want to convince you to join the right, to join the Republicans. I want to convince some of you guys to join the right. Let's discuss this. And things will obviously take their course. Yeah, and that's why you have to have bodyguards with them to make sure they don't get too fucked up. But take that, use that footage and just plaster it on television. Like, the right are trying to win people over to our side. We're trying to live in civilization, and these people want to demolish civilization, which is true.
Yes.
So I want to see more of that.
It's literally the point. To equalize everything, you have to return everything to the very lowest common denominator. That's why we need to abolish property.
And another thing
is the root of inequality.
Yes, you're right. The thing that I think they also need to stop saying, and I keep hearing them say this, and I would, if I ran some kind of right-wing organization, think tank, I'm part of the GOP establishment, ban the use of the word equality.
Yeah.
Don't
liberty.
say equality. Yes.
Liberty.
Yes. Talk about liberty, talk about freedom. That should be the side of the right. Let the left be the side of...
Are you free when there are communists rampaging through the streets, burning your city down and beating people in the streets? No, you're not free. We need liberty, law and order. You know, and then suddenly you've got all the moral justification you need. You've won.
Or if you want to say equality, say everyone's equal in an ash pile. Something like that. Something that shows them as utterly destructive. And so smart sort of optics, smart sort of real politicking around this, I think could not necessarily create a platform in and of itself, but it would be effective campaigning against the other side.
Yeah, especially for people who don't want riots. Who don't want this, you know, just regular people who are just like, what the fuck is happening? The very clear message that is just incontrovertible.
But yeah, I think that there's I've heard Trump say equality. I've heard other like mainstream big politicians start talking about equality. Unless you're you, the retard, probably think you mean, well, equal before the law, equal before God, right? It's like, no, retards, they mean material equality. That's what they mean.
I mean, they're literally calling for reparations.
Yeah,
you're not listening to them. It's like, coming out of their fucking mouths, man.
Oh, man, these people are so fucking stupid. But
they're crystal clear. Give us money. Gibbs. Why? Because we're historical victims. Are you really?
I gotta penalize, I guess, I don't know, obviously, my audience. I gotta penalize some of you Christians who are like, thinking the best out of these people, like, well, they just think they're equal before God, don't you think? And it's like, as they get punched in the face and stomped into the ground, and it's just like, there was a Christian preacher that went into the anarchist zone. He got fucking annihilated and robbed.
Yeah, and there was another guy who just got, you know, his car key stolen and everything looted, and all these people. I zipped up my tent and then someone stole everything. It's like, oh really? You have to understand, right? Under communism, you don't own any property.
Yeah.
Get that through your thick fucking skulls. You know, you don't own anything. So don't pretend like you do. Ownership happens in other people's heads. You know, like possession is when you have something in your grasp. When you walk away from that thing, you rely on the concept of ownership and the people around that thing to agree that that's not theirs. And that they only take the things that are theirs. And if that's not theirs, then none of them take it. So when you come back, it's still fucking there. You know? If it doesn't exist, then that's gone.
Oh, man. Hey, I'm going to get back to what I was saying beforehand. Completely right. Right-wingers, congressional GOP, are we going to get to the point where my decapitated head with a note signed on it, you know, is delivered to you so you can have some understanding of this? When are you going to go after academia? For the love of fucking God.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't even denationalized or privatized the student fucking loans.
They should be doing everything that makes them howl at this point.
I fundamentally, and I don't even, like, they don't control the House. There's only so much you do. Blah, blah, blah. You controlled everything at the beginning of Trump's first term, and you did jack fucking shit. If the Republicans somehow manage to get back the House and control the Senate, and I think they're going to control the Senate, but if they manage to take back the House and Trump wins re-election, I swear to God, I don't know if I have to find Charlie Kirk, find Eric Trump, or Donald Trump Jr. and throttle them until they fucking agree to tell their father to do this, and find Mitch McConnell, find Kevin McCarthy, whatever the fuck his name is in the House, and literally throttle them until they agree to do something about academia. I'm not saying do what I want to do and go full Dong Zo and burn it to the fucking ground, but as opposed to the fucking nothing you have done, including, like, this is standard Republican politics. Privatize student loans. They're fucking nationalized. For the love of God, one thing at least. It's to me, it is the whatever the Congress would be, the 40 whatever Congress under Trump and Trump's administration. This is the failure of his administration and of Congress, especially congressional Republicans. Like, this country is on fire because of academia. Do something. And I've debated this with libertarians, and I've conceded this with libertarians. The thing that the federal government can do, the thing that Republicans can do, is just starve the beast. All you need to do is cut fucking funding. That is all you fucking need to do. And it would devastate these campuses because, like it is in my area, they have expanded unbelievably. UB, University at Buffalo, in my area, is like its own fucking city. It is insane how much is expanded in my lifetime. And it is because the government is just giving them untold money. It literally is nothing more than a blank check from the state, and including student visas. That is where they are getting all of this fucking money. So they, as like a business, they are running at capacity 100% of the time, which is how you are as effective as you can be, as productive as you can be in a business, is you run at capacity 100% of the time. And that is what these universities are doing because of student visas. Yeah. This is
I totally agree.
This is within the direct power of Congress. They control student visas. It's one of several things that they could do to radically disadvantage a primary source of their opponents. It would be like, not even a gut punch. It would be like a disemboweling of their opponents, going after academia, and they haven't even in any conceivable way, not in one way, other than like some Title IX tweaks. That's about as much as they have done. They have done nothing to challenge this monster that has been created over decades, and that, for the love of God, is in direct violation of the most basic concepts of conservatism, which is nationalized student loans, federal funding for every university in the country, and student visas, which you control how many come in. They have direct ownership of what they can change, and they choose to do nothing. It is unbelievable to me, because it's like, if you are even when you get down to the brass tacks of real politics, this is the behemoth that is going to destroy not just America, okay? Fuck America. Let it all burn. Fuck it all. We got money to make and nice, cozy houses to live in. What about the fucking Republican Party, you stupid fucking retards? What is going to happen to the GOP if you let these people brainwash every goddamn generation?
It's amazing to me. It is genuinely amazing to me that the party of we shouldn't change anything allows the youth to be raised by the party of we should change everything.
Yes. I fundamentally don't understand, like,
what I'm saying is you've hit on exactly the right point, right? There has been a right-wing withdrawal from the idea of education and, like, the lessons learned during a child's education. And I really can't understand for the life of me why someone who wishes things to stay similar to how it is allowing radical left-wingers to brainwash their children and not thinking, well, this might change things. Like, they should be hyper-concerned about this. Like, it's fundamental to the formative years of an adult.
Yes.
Like, the experiences they have in the schools. And you would think the Republicans would be like, well, shit, we've got to be there as much as we can. And I think that they lost the impetus during the loss of the war against the new atheists, the moral war for legitimacy.
But
Well, I don't know. That's just where I'd guess.
in the
if I were to
chat,
start
people
looking.
have also pointed this out. People in the chat have said it as well. They are trying to, like, conservatives are, like, especially the corporate, like, Koch brothers kind of conservatives, quote unquote. They are going after primary education. They are going after middle school, high school, elementary schools for privatization. But, dude, none of them are going after academia. None of them are going after universities. It's unfathomable. When it's like, yeah, sure, privatize everything else. Fuck it. I don't care anymore. But it's like, why are you focusing on areas in which it doesn't matter because you hate the teachers' unions, but you aren't going after the fucking universities? Yeah. Why? They are a far worse problem.
Yeah, of course. And I completely agree. And it baffles me because the very essence of conservatism is to try and keep things roughly the same as you have them now, and you're letting people who are openly radical teach kids. It's like, if you've got power to intervene there, you should do everything you can. Like, if I was I don't know, just in any capacity, the Republican thought across the GOP should be, how can we extend our philosophical influence? The authentic American philosophy of, like, Lincoln-style republicanism. You would think that would be an easy sell, like I never hear Republicans talking about Lincoln. It's so weird.
Yeah, I know, right? And this also, if you look at a lot of the boomer Trump guys, I've met a lot of boomer conservatives, and I like boomer conservatives in large part.
I really like them,
because even when they're kind of off key, off color, you could tell they don't really mean it. There's not really, like, a source of malevolence coming from them. No. It's just sort of a combination of innocent ignorance and a lifetime spending their time dealing with more important things, honestly, like family and their career and so on.
The kids have got in the way. And
what I know about them, what I know about the right-wing base is they love to feel like they are at war, like those that represent them are at war with their enemies. And it is a policy and political and campaigning goldmine for someone to say, I'm going to fuck up the leftist universities. I'm going to destroy every one of them. I'm going to burn them to the fucking ground, and no one, unless they fucking kill me, can stop me. And I'm going to do it even if...
You haven't been elected yet, Louis. Seriously,
I know.
I would support you on that platform, man.
But
literally,
anyways...
word for fucking word.
The boomers would eat that up every fucking day of the week. And you can see this with Trump, that when he's up there and he's screaming it on a podium, and he's campaigning in full campaign mode, and he's being super aggressive, the howling, fervent cheers that he gets from people that are just your average conservatives, and that part of the base, it is something like 85% of the fucking Republican base that love full-throated, aggressive politicians screaming at the top of their lungs that they're going to bring it to their enemies. They love it, and it's something that you could play into that's not necessarily, fair or whatever and justified in every case.
We're going to crush the communist menace. It's like, I mean, dude, I'd be cheering for that. If fucking Boris got up and literally was like, those communists, we're really going to give them a seeing to this time, I'd be like, fucking go on then. Fucking, we've all got semis, Boris. What are you doing?
Everyone in the audience with their half chub.
Yeah, exactly. Go on.
And what's also what I love about this as well is that the fucking faggot cons, the neocons and the conservatives that are like, oh, this doesn't appeal to middle class women. Bullshit! Women love a fucking masculine man that's like, I'm gonna go out there and fuck up these assles. They love that.
Look at Cuomo.
I know, all the fucking leftists wetting their panties over this guy.
Yeah, exactly. He takes an authoritative stance on the coronavirus, saying, no, you're all going to stay in your homes for the good of the, the community. And women are like, oh, God, he's so dreamy. It's like, yeah, there we go. There we go. He wasn't dreamy last week, was he, before this happened?
But so it's a total lie that these fucking dickheads, like, there are the Karens that have their finicky bullshit, but it's like, when you understand politics, and this is true for me as a finicky voter, when it comes to mainstream real politic, fuck finicky voters. Fuck them.
Yeah.
You're either going to appeal to them or you're not. So, like, you're going for Team Red, you're going for fucking Team Blue. You're going for defund the unions or fund the unions or fund Planned Parenthood, defund Planned Parenthood. You're going for these, in many ways, black or white, mutually exclusive issues. And that is a huge chunk of the population for each one of those issues that are active voters, that aren't like finicky voters or I vote once every 17 years or some shit. Like, the people that show up to the polls every fucking election, they have their button issues. And if you are someone that is more true to yourself and you're going to say, well, let's say on abortion, I'm not necessarily in favor of abortion, but when it comes to, you know, like, yeah, defund Planned Parenthood because it's a fucking arm for the Democratic Party. But when it comes to the
that's
issue
the only
itself,
reason I give a shit about at this point.
But
it's like, fuck it.
I had to debate my mother on the issue of Planned Parenthood because she's like, no, they do X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, no, they don't. They don't do
like
these
80-something% of what they do abortion.
Yes, and they make money based on that, and so it's like,
and they sell body parts.
Yeah,
and stuff like
for me, like, when it comes to like that aspect to it, I don't care about that because it's like, you know, I'm the same person that thinks that we should be experimenting on prisoners. So when it comes to the ethics of experimentation and science, I'm not too good on that. I'm like Andrew Ryan on that. But when it comes to these issues of themselves, like, the button issues matter. And the idea that you're going to appeal to these upper middle class Karens and you're fearing about losing their vote, there is no way that you can really appeal to them because it's like you either stand for what you stand for or you stand for fucking nothing. And it seems that's the strategy is if we stand for fucking nothing, that's going to win us this suburban woman vote. But it's like, that's not true because if you're out there chest beating, that appeals to them.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. But the problem that I think the Republicans have, and the Conservatives have it in the UK as well, is they don't understand how aggressively the culture war is being prosecuted against them. They think, okay, well, if we just stay within this reasonably acceptable boundary, then that will be within the rules, and so we'll be left alone.
Yes.
You know, the status quo will ignore us. You know, we'll be treated, you know, as we wish to be treated. But it's like, look, dude, the Federalist just got its funding pulled from Google because it was like, well, maybe we don't agree with this one political movement.
Yeah.
And it's like, there we go. Like,
or
when
even
we were like, oh, by the way, when we were like, you know, they deplatformed the Nazis. Okay, well, no one cares about the Nazis. I spoke out against it. I said, look, it doesn't matter if we hate them. They have a right to be heard. They should have a right to a platform just like the rest of us. And it's not going to fucking stop there. And did it hell? Now you've got Stephen Crowder getting demonetized, the Federalists getting demonetized. How much more aggressive does the left have to be? And how much money do they have to take off of us?
And with COVID-19, I think Stephen Crowder, he might finally bite it. I think he might actually cross that fucking line because of YouTube. I think he's playing with fire, and good on him for doing it, but I think he's going to cross the line finally.
Balls of steel, man.
Yeah.
Good on him.
But I was going to say, even with like the Federalist and BLM, it might even be where it's like, yeah, we concede the point that there's police overreach. And so it's like, it's not even they disagree entirely with BLM. It's that we don't agree entirely with BLM. That's the issue.
It's not even that. It's they've dared to be critical. That's the thing.
Yep.
You know, repeatedly and brazenly critical. How dare you, sir? There's your funding gone. You've been a bad boy. So fuck you.
I think that on the right, there needs to be it's a combination of different things, but it's like there is an anchor on the right, and that anchor are the quasi-leftist neocons who, for some odd reason, like they're endorsing all like. Ever since Trump got elected, like it sent the neocon types off the edge. Like
Mitt Romney's now going Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, and you have Koch brothers pushing like open borders through leftist causes, and you got
working with Soros.
Yes, like
foundations. Yeah.
The
class interest really solidified there. Didn't
the interest of the internationalist left and right have merged completely, and the internationalist right has a lot of money, but I think if people want to credit the gripers for what happened with Charlie Kirk and TPUSA, then fine, give them credit for that, but whatever is necessary that is needed to push this forward, we need to come down to making a choice. If we can't get the neocons and the weak, faggy Republicans and conservatives, so-called, on our side for certain issues, they need to be cast away. Yeah, because they're out there backing leftist causes. You got like Rick Wilson and Bill Kristol and all these fucking neocons being like, I'm Team Biden. I'm voting for Biden. It's like, they might be part of the Republican Party, but get rid of these fucking cocksuckers. They're useless. Like, there's nothing to be garnered from them. Like, they're not giving any real criticism. Like, somebody promoted an article from, who was it? It might have been Bill Kristol or somebody. Some neocon, like arch neocon from the Bush era. Some article by him, and I read through the article, and it was like one line of a factual statement, but every other sentence in that entire long-ass article was utter fucking shit. And it is just nothing more than accepting the left's proposal and worldview on fucking everything. And if you do that, I'm not a philosophical conservative, but neither are fucking they. Yeah, exactly. How are you not a leftist?
How are you not? If you're going to accept all of their premises, and when you're one of them.
Well, they kill these people fundamentally, and I've seen this. They claim to be the true conservative. Like, that is the phrase they use. But it's like, you are fundamentally not philosophically conservative. Yeah. And if you aren't fundamentally philosophically conservative, then you can be something else, but you're not a fucking conservative. I don't even claim to be a fucking conservative, because philosophically, if you look at all the bullet points, I'm not. I agree on a whole bunch of, like, you know, as you talk about the every aspect of the family, like how important the family is to fucking everything, society, everything. That is philosophically, fundamentally conservative. But the thing is that it's not something that is completely an anathema to philosophical liberalism. So you can still have these philosophically conservative beliefs.
Liberalism expected that the family would be the basis of society when it was conceived of.
Sure, but it had
that was an unchallengeable assumption that there would be families on which society would be based.
It veers in certain directions, though, in terms of prioritization. Because I think that liberalism cherishes liberty, and conservatism, it gets into the territory of unquestioning adherence to tradition and valuing the concept of tradition and what is considered traditional.
Fucking hell! Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I was just breaking news. So the verified check marks on the right on Twitter are saying that the Federalist was not deplatformed for any of the articles that they'd published, but because of the comments in their comment sections.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm glad
that's how sensitive the tripwire is. That's how how little of an excuse they need to get rid of you. Republicans, right wingers, are you listening? Moderate, centrist, lefty, Democrat types, are you listening? You know. Like this, if they'll do it to the Nazis, they'll do it to the far right, the populists. They'll do it to they'll do it to the Federalists. They'll do it to Stephen Crowder. They'll do it to you. It's not going to stop.
Well, what's also very convenient about this, and this is the whole real politics sort of realism sense of this, is now that we know that heavily incentivizes leftists to go into those comment sections and be like, you know, nigger this and all that, so that they can get them defunded. And then the company, the corporation Google, can be like, oh no, look at these comments from these Nazis from your comment section. We got to deplatform you now.
Yeah,
all very convenience.
Do you want to answer some super chats while I go get another cup of tea?
Sure, yes.
You haven't done any yet.
Yes. Fuck them.
I'll be back. Yeah, no, don't fuck them.
I know. I'm just fucking around.
Dick. Pass the Levi some words for the chat. I'll be back.
For the parishioners.
Yeah.
Okay. We got Zurundu. I heard that there were joggers, and I came as fast as I could. Prelatorian Vet says, God bless you fellows. Hope you are both well. Have you seen the scandal of funding Black Lives Matter and Minnesota Freedom Fund? Joggers are blaming the small hats. Here is the Twitter saying 200,000 of 35 million was only. I'll hold on to that, actually. Thank you for that there, Vet. Let me check that link. Oh, yeah, they actually do. They admit it in the second tweet. Wow, that's crazy. I'll retweet that, so hopefully I don't forget to put it in the sources after this. Let me get back. Where were we? The Gettr says the riots will end when the police quit and businesses start hiring Blackwater and say don't even bother with the non-lethal weapons, just shoot them. They probably, I know that might be just an exaggeration, but they'll probably have, like, if that sort of thing does occur, it'll probably be like non-lethal, like not buckshot, but oh God, what is it? Black salt or whatever it is that you put in the load for shotguns. I forget what it's called. Something salt. Or what are they? Sandbags, or you know, the bag rounds that you can load into a shotgun too, that I've seen that are I guess are pretty effective, because I've seen people get hit by them and they fucking go down. At what point will we have the conversation that maybe Joe McCarthy and Pinochet at a point? Well, Joe McCarthy definitely, because when you search for witches and you find them, then you're an effective witch hunter, because there are witches. So there you go. But Pinochet, I don't know. That's more of a meme. How many American and European cities need to be half burnt down? Yeah. The Wooster says, the Cathedral, have you watched the stream with Michael Malice, or Malace, however you say it, has with Minchus Moldbug? Moldbug has a lot of great and interesting things to say about communism that I would like you guys to analyze. Moldbug is making more appearances lately, which is exciting. I guess I'll try to remember to say that to Sargon to see if he's heard of Moldbug. Cancellation, heretics burned at the stake, white privilege equals original sin, celebrities equal preachers, structural oppression equals God. Yeah, I agree with that. That was from Charlie. Prelatorian Vet says, Chicago is proof that Black Lives Matter has no case. Legitimately, no one cares about any of those lives. Yeah, sure. So, I think Baltimore might be a better example. So, do you guys think America is doomed? Like, where do you see all this going? How bad will it get? Tim Pool seems to think we're headed towards the end. Your thoughts? Well, I've been watching a few more Tim Pool videos lately, and I can't say that he's, you know, erroneous or wrong or whatever, but I think he's purposely hysterical. Like, a person that is kind of like a doomer who probably truly feels the way he does is Paul Joseph Watson. I've heard some inside baseball about him, and if you see Paul Joseph Watson, give him a hug and tell him it's going to be okay. Try to white pill him, because I've heard some inside baseball about him, and I think he legit believes that, like, this is it. Tim Pool, I think, is doing it for money. But I like Tim Pool, but I wish he would stop the hysterics, because he's been doing this for a while, and it's a bit annoying. Antifa fucked up from Matt. Let me check this. Matt, what this link is. Oh, this is the guy getting shot. Like I said, this is a little bit questionable. The guy that does the shooting, he attacks some woman, and I don't know why. I don't know if he incited this because he's willing to go to jail, because he is going to get prosecuted. Every time something like this happens, and the Proud Boys was the error example, every fucking time something like this happens, the state throws the fucking book at the right wing. Like, you're lucky if you're not going to jail for the rest of your fucking life if you're jaywalking in right wing. But unfortunately, they control the prosecution, you know, that office. Like, they control the judges. They, if you're right wing and you're going into a courtroom and the case is based around you being right wing and doing something, you are going to have the fucking book thrown at you. Even in cases where they can't even fucking prove what you did, they're going to lean on you as hard as possible to get you to accept a plea deal. And so it's either accept that fucking plea deal or roll the fucking dice with the state stacked against you. Proletarian Vet says, yo, Sargon, you see the guy who pissed close to the mural of the dead policeman that was arrested? Definitely should say he was protesting the systematic injustice of racial prejudice of the UK to get off. Black Lives Matter can tear down statues and public property. Yeah, it's obviously, like I said, ripping down of fairness earlier. I'm sure Sargon's aware of that. Architect says, the problem in America all boils down to a single factor. Americans who love their country's founding values are not the type to protest or be activists. I think that's true. They just want to be able to protect themselves, their family, and be left alone. Yes, I agree with that sentiment. There's a lot of that. William, says, did you hear about police officers finding broken glass, razor blades, and cleaner in their food and beverages? I think that's an exaggeration. It's happening in multiple states from what I hear. William, you might have to send me that on Twitter, because all I've heard about is one incident in New York City, and that is extremely contested, although I'm still siding with that actually happened and they were poisoned. Everyone and their grandmother is coming out and saying that it didn't happen, that it's untrue. That somehow in a fast food place or a restaurant, these cops got bleach in their shakes, and it's like, you don't use bleach in these places. Like, I've never heard of bleach being used in a restaurant. Like, even with cleaning floors, you're not supposed to use bleach. Like, the only time I've ever heard bleach being used in a restaurant or some place that serves food is in the bathrooms. But in terms of even in the kitchen, I don't think you're allowed to use bleach by law. I'd have to look that up. Maybe someone who's more aware of the law and the legalese can, tweet me or super chat and say, but I don't think you're allowed to use bleach in the kitchen. I think it's against the law. So for them to say it was this total happenstance, convenient accident that they got bleach and poisoned, it's like, and everyone's saying this too. Like, the media's saying this, the police are saying this, everyone's fucking saying this, and it's like, how is this even possible? How? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I gotta say, I don't believe it that was an accident. If it's happening in other states, you're gonna have to cite me some examples because I haven't seen them. But thank you, William. Bull Moose says, solving fatherlessness is the pipe dream. They have been brainwashed by single mothers into believing that fathers aren't needed. Well, you say that, Bull Moose, you remove the state from this fucking equation, then it's basically you fucked it around. You're about to find that out, that you need fathers. So you say that in, Black Moose, there's cause to be black-pilled, but you get rid of the equation of the state, and I think that you're going to see some fucking change, irrespective if they want it or not. William says, a big part of me wants Trump to say fuck it and send the Marines into Chaz. I think that's a trap. I think there's people smartly saying that that's a trap. Fucking commies getting their shit pushed in by Marines will be fucking hilarious. I agree that it would be hilarious, but I think it's a political trap. Diddly Doodler says, collections for the pastor, or to the pastor, thank you. Tesseract says, or something like Tesseract says, I think belligerence is part of American culture. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's very Northeast, I would say, belligerence. It's part of culture and accepted. I see it all the time, even in my area, of people that are working class with like a very slight Canadian twang, that if you just uprooted them and plop them down into a working class community in Baltimore or Philadelphia or Brooklyn or Long Island, like they would get along completely. Although Long Island's kind of yuppie. You back now, Sargon?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we pivot onto the latest story arc of the so I view a lot of public figures by character arc as if this is a movie, right? It's just I can't help it, right, to keep track of what's going on. And back in 2017, Michael Tracy used to follow me on Twitter, and I had a very brief DM interaction with him. Because at the time, I think he was with the Young Turks or something like that. And I was like, there's something wrong here. They're going to come for you for being, skeptical about some of this. And now, 3 years later, he is full shitlord, and it is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Let me read you a quick interaction that is just,
Okay.
Oh God, it's the best thing in the world, right? So Anna Kasparian did a segment on the Young Turks. I don't watch the Young Turks. So
I think I've seen that clip for bad-mouthing him.
Yeah. And so he, he comments about this on Twitter in response to that clip, saying, so many adults in the online media industry are stuck in the perpetual high school mode. Anna K from TYT declares that no one cares about me despite ranting about me on video, accuses me of picking on an adult political operative, and then insults my physical appearance. Classy. Right, to which she replies, you're just annoying, Michael. It's like, oh God, Anna, you made his point about you being in the high school mentality. You're so transparent in saying disingenuous crap or engaging in nonsense Twitter beefs to stay relevant. You're boring, annoying, and self-important to boot. I mean every word in that rant. It's like, Anna, the fuck? Boring, annoying, and self-important. Like, fuck me, dude. A, that applies to you, but B, that probably applies to everyone. Right? So shut the fuck up. Right? So this whole thing, like, she sounds like a child, and he just responds to this with, I'm glad I annoy you. Bravo, Michael.
Oh,
that's exactly
great.
what I would have said.
That is fucking great. That is a great response. Apparently, Charlie Kirk.
But no, but the great thing about this is that Michael Tracy understands finally that you can't. I was saying earlier about being the sort of moral legislator, right? Everyone can morally legislate. What we're doing here is establishing that the SJWs have a worldview from which you cannot morally legislate. Right? There's something wrong with their worldview. And so anyone who in this worldview starts legislating morality, like we all do when we say we should do this or that thing's wrong or whatever, right? Those people are not moral legislators. They, everyone else can carry on and, but those people are to be ignored. And that's what Michael Tracy's doing there. And it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I have watched, I've been following him for a very long time. And it is enjoying watching him squabble with these brainless.
Yeah.
And
he's so much smarter than they are.
Yes,
as well. Like he's you can tell he's like a genuine like 130 sort of IQ guy. He's a bright guy, and Anna Kasparian's like 110. So she's just falling into these rhetorical traps that he's laying and making him look like a fucking idiot.
No comment.
Neckbeards rise up. I mean, she literally called him a neckbeard,
yeah,
and it's just like, dude, he's calling you a high schooler, and you're like, yeah, well, he's a neckbeard. Like, you fucking brainless.
He is a more mature person. That is just the fact of the matter. What like.
Yeah.
Arguing his intelligence or not, he is simply a more mature person. And he's dealing with someone who fundamentally is pathologically not a mature person.
No, not even slightly.
Who is I mean, this is true of Anna Kasparian. She is in arrested development in terms of her behavior. Like, she's the same person as she was at age, 17. And she's, fucking 30-something now. Yeah,
she's still a teenager, and she's never had to grow up.
Yeah,
she's never had. Well, this the thing with the Young Turks generally, though. Like, I can't get over the echo chamber that they've managed to build around themselves. I mean, it's a genuine work of art in many ways, because no one else could have millions of subscribers and have even more detractors, and still be so impervious to any kind of criticism. Like, what criticism has Jank ever taken on? Like, there are channels that are basically nothing but for years. Nothing but TYT response channels. And not once did he ever, take any of it to task, as far as I'm aware.
No,
so
there have been like a handful of things that he has discussed in the past that are similar to the criticism he has received. But what criticism has he ever fairly taken on? None. Yeah. Absolutely none.
And it's just amazing, like the endurance that the echo chamber that can build. And so Anna Kasparian is literally presenting herself as if she's the fucking Pope. She's like, no, moral good is in me, Michael. And you're too stupid to understand this. I was like, fuck, man. If I'm ever at a point where I'm like, no, I've got the moral good and you can't have any, fucking shoot me. That's it. It's over.
Well, I'll get there at some point, but I'm a pastor. I'm allowed.
Oh, yeah, you're not very far away. But that's fine. I enjoy the rants.
Well, the thing is that if my enemies want me to recognize their value, then they have to recognize mine, and there seems to be a gap there. Yes. But I've had there've been a couple things that people asked you while you were away.
Okay.
One of them was this mold bug guy.
Yeah, Mendicus Moldbug or something. Like I said, I've never read anything by him, but like I've talked to people in the sort of neo-reactionary right who've referenced him, and so I was just looking through this article about him.
Okay, well, people are just recommend you go watch his shit or whatever.
Right. Okay, I didn't know you had a channel.
Yeah, or get him on a stream or something, I guess. But they're just suggesting. Seeley sent me a tweet. Hopefully these are real and not fake, from Charlie Kirk, where I guess I'll put it on screen real quick. Charlie Kirk says, we are losing our country. Since we have surrendered the terms of engagement to the left, why aren't our elected leaders demanding the disgusting Vladimir Lenin statue in Seattle be forcibly removed? Who wants to join me in Seattle to take down the 16-foot memorial to this evil man? Time to fight back. So I have to actually say I in principle disagree with that position.
Sure, but the principle's out of the window. Now it's about my team winning.
Yes, that is the point. He could articulate this a little bit better, but the point of Seeley's tweet at me is that Charlie Kirk is at the point where he's just full-blown fucking might makes right. Like, he has gone full,
it's gone full Hobbes.
Okay, the Han dynasty is lost. We're going into the Capitol. We're going to burn this motherfucker to the ground.
I love it. Charlie Kirk with a ragged American flag yelling, nasty, brutish, and short. Sorry.
Charlie Kirk has become the imperial father of the Han dynasty, and it's all going to burn down at his say-so.
Love it. I tell you what, like Candace Owens, you put Candace Owens in your video the other day, and you can't say she's wrong.
No, she I
thought she acquitted herself defending her position very well.
Yes. I think with Candace Owens, that might be the best thing that I've seen from her. And it's also the defense of it was also very good. And I think that with Candace Owens, she has the capacity more so than anybody else, because she is black, to lean into this issue as hard as possible. And she doesn't necessarily have to go as far as Jesse Lee Peterson of like full like emigration or repatriation. But she could tackle the issue and take my position of 90-10 and just say, fuck your 10%, we're dealing with the 90%. And she's well in the point now where the left and the black activists and all these people that thrive on the dysfunction, and the Democrat Party as well. Yeah. She can, regardless of how much they call her a coon and all that's nonsense, she can say, well, okay, yeah, I'm a coon. Now look at these statistics. Now look at this fatherlessness rate. Look at this dysfunction. And I've had people ask me to go into these videos with you. I have like a dozen videos of people in black neighborhoods, because the cops have pulled back, going fucking crazy. Really? Doing some crazy shit. And the question is, and this is basically like what you and I need to do, and Candace Owens needs to do, and Charlie Kirk needs to do. Jesse Lee Peterson might be a little bit too black-filled. What we need to do is to erect a wall or a bulwark or something to stop the conversation at behavior, and then say that what we need to do is say that fairness is expecting blacks, these particular blacks, to act in accordance as they would be with everyone else, including whites. Because all the model minorities, the top 10, top 15 in the United States for prosperity, are all non-white. So how is it that we have all these model minorities? Because they don't act in this way. So if you want to be prosperous, if you want to have your big-ass houses and your gaudy shit, you have to act in this way. The problem is, if we don't do that, the alt-right is going to be right there, which is going to be behavior, yes, but they're fucked. This is just black people.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to be that bulwark.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wonder what would happen if, like, what's the nearest Republican-run city to Chicago?
In Illinois? Fuck. There are some, but I'd have to ask somebody from Illinois to tell me.
It doesn't matter which one it is, but just, whichever the nearest Republican-run city or town
it's probably
is.
like a large suburb.
Right, okay. But the Republican representative of that, imagine if they came out and said, we're going to put up a monument to victims of black crime. And then on the plaque of the monument said, to those poor young men who were lost, in Chicago to the inner city violence, that's otherwise unrecognized, may you forever find peace that you didn't find in life, or something like that.
Jesus.
I mean, that would be a nuke, wouldn't it?
Yes.
But what are they going to do? Tear it down? Tear it down. Go on, tear down the memorial to all the young men who die in Chicago because no one wants to take responsibility of that fucking problem.
It would be like the monument would be like a black student or like a black father who's like a business owner. Like, it's basically you take what is it? Falling Down, like, or a better Die Hard 3, Samuel L. Jackson, like the working class black father who looks like a stereotypical 90s father, and that is the statue of the or of someone like David Dorn, the retired cop who gets murdered by some trash from the gutter, that you make a memorial of him. I think that would be the safer alternative.
No. I would go full. But yeah,
you are right though.
Moral, right?
Yours
because
is
what you do is you literally put fucking like one of Benjamin Franklin's arguments on it, like Christian abolitionist. Am I not a man and a brother? Why are you letting this happen to me? Full on fucking. We don't hate these people. We feel sad that they're like.
Well,
this,
and I think that is the wider truth of the normies as well.
Yes.
That it's not a matter of
totally
anything more than it's like a general fatigue of pity towards the inner cities and towards this problem. And while I think a serious percentage of people realize that the truth is the 90-10 split, they are indulging in that 10% fucking lie of that's the fucking problem, when, if pushed, it is behavioral, and that is the problem. And yes, that statue idea, I think that is a very savvy idea and a morally good idea of genuine consideration of these people's lives that have been lost, of which not all of them, like, if you look at what happens in the inner city, there are a percentage of gang on gang, criminal on criminal, but there is a lot of innocent life.
Yeah, civilian. Like you see viral videos going around all the time of some girl who's just lost her brother or whatever it is, and these are the saddest fucking things in the world. And it's just some random gangs were fighting and a bullet came through the house, and that's it. That was someone dead. And it's like, they put up a fucking monument to that. Black Lives Matter, literally write Black Lives Matter on it. This is our monument as Christians to those poor people, and including the people doing the shooting. We turn the other cheek. We forgive the sin. We are sad that this like this. It apparently is something out of our power to change. And this is something that weighs on our hearts. It grieves us that this is happening.
I would say that is something that I would have very strong moral consideration in supporting, but it is light years more moral and more worthy of consideration than the fucking assholes painting murals of these criminal cocksuckers.
For George Floyd, the guy who robs a pregnant woman at gunpoint. Oh, fucking what a hero.
Yeah, and including the guy that got killed in Atlanta, who is a child abuser and a drunk driver. And I got mad at my parents the other day when we discussed this because, dude, I grew up with every fucking person under the sun moralizing about drunk driving, and suddenly drunk driving is fucking fine.
Yeah.
It pisses me off because, like I said, my whole life, I got everyone in my ear moralizing about drunk driving. Even, I said it in a video the other day. Obviously, but it's like the other day even included. I did the video where I talked about my mother a few weeks ago moralized to me about potentially drunk driving home from a wedding. It's like, here we are today. Well, you got George Floyd. Oh, or the fucking Ray Shark Brooks in Atlanta. He didn't deserve to die for drunk driving. It's like, yeah, but he was still fucking drunk driving. What the, like, why are we being so, like, are you going to paint, they have painted murals of that fucking guy already. It's like, oh, like, why is there no consideration towards the fact that this guy was a fucking piece of shit?
But tear down this statue because the guy hundreds of years ago is a racist.
Oh, yeah. Dude, they've already torn down one statue of Thomas Jefferson. Like, we are at the point they have come for the founders finally. They have come for the founding fathers. And I swear to God, like, I know when it comes to a certain amount of, like, black-pilled people, like, in America, you are fucking playing with fire. Like,
I wouldn't tear down a statue of the founders. Holy shit.
Unless you want some New Zealand-style events occurring, do not start tearing down the founding fathers. Because I think that's what you're gonna fucking get.
Yeah, it's a pretty fucking stupid
I think
idea.
that you're gonna start getting some serious black-pilled right-wingers, and with the left, keep doing all your subversive, stupid shit. Bro, you are playing with some fucking fire when it comes down to... Because in the United States, especially on the right, the founding fathers are fucking revered. Like, what's his face? Ken Levine in BioShock Infinity, or in Infinite, was right. That we revere the founding fathers as, like, Christ-like. And you're gonna fucking... You're gonna rip down their fucking statues? At our institutions and shit, you're insane.
Yeah, but that's all of this iconoclasm. It always comes because of a paradigm shift that morally invalidates the previous paradigm and actually turns it into something evil. Think of like the Christians tearing down the pagan statues,
right,
because they weren't monotheists. You know what? The paradigm has suddenly shifted, and everything from the old order is now bad. And so they're gonna tear it all up. Man, I bet at some point someone vandalizes Mount Rushmore.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, it would be... because of the access tunnels that are built into it, they probably could do it. So it is feasible.
I bet there's an attempt.
But I am surprised. They vandalized, in a small way from what I saw, the World War II Memorial in D.C., which is... Especially in America, man, like, if you go to the D.C., like, the Vietnam Memorial in D.C. is basically like being in a church. But... the World War II Memorial in D.C., I saw this online, there was some fucking foreign scum that came to this country, and they were, like, fucking around in the fountain, and this happens, like, every year, like, foreigners come to this country, and they disrespect our war memorials. Yeah. And they were fucking around in the Second World War Memorial, and, like, there was a bunch of, like, right-wing Christians that were there as well, and they basically formed a lynch mob. And the police basically had to intervene. This was a story from, like, a few years ago. And it's like, yeah, I'm on the side of the fucking lynch mob. Foreign scum, get out. Stop, like, seriously, they fuck with our war memorials. And they're treated like, there is a sacrosanct attitude towards war memorials in D.C. I am perfectly fine with that. I really resent the attitude that is garnering, is gathering, is growing, and it's not just foreign, it's domestic, of treating our moments in our history to where we're fighting against what we perceive in terms of a narrative as the greatest evil. Like, and you are not only diminishing that, which they are doing for the purposes of subversion, but also openly violating something that we believe culturally is sacrosanct. Like, today it's the Second World War Memorial. Tomorrow it's going to be the Holocaust memorials. Yeah. It's going to get there. Yeah. And I'm at the point now where the state in New York City is tyrannizing the Jews down there.
Yeah.
Unequivocally, that's what they're doing. Even today, they're doing that. It's like, how far are we going to roll this ball to where we're going to just start throwing other minorities under the bus because we're afraid to stand up to those that are fucking evil? You know, I mean, at what point are we just going to discard every aspect to our society and every minority that is otherwise doing nothing? How far do we got to go? But I'm telling you, man.
Well, the Asians have been thrown under the bus already.
Yes,
like Harvard admissions being actively discriminated
in many
ways.
Race.
Fuck you.
In many ways, they've been thrown under the bus. I doubt it's any different in corporate America either.
Yeah, of course not.
But I am just saying that when it comes to some of these memorials, some of these statues, some of these, fuck all the institutions. Every institution can go. But when it comes to certain symbols in American society, when it comes to, like, the right-wingers, like, you are going to black pill them too much, and you are going to get some more New Zealand events if they go too far. I swear to fucking God, that is my prediction.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the Boogle turn up.
And my obvious consideration when it comes to that is not only to not tyrannize the innocent and desecrate places that I think should be sacrosanct, but
you make that sound so easy, Louis. Don't desecrate places. I look at this and see Satan. I can't help it. You know,
the problem is that it's just a kind of acceptance from the elite that it's like they'll go on the media and they'll be like, oh, our brave troops and blah blah fucking blah. But when push comes to shove of having fucking foreigners in our country desecrating war memorials and a variety of other things, it's just like, hey, who gives a fuck? Then it's up to the citizen to have to defend those sites. And
they don't see anything sacred about America and the founding myth of it.
No, because they're internationalists.
Oh, no, not just that. But they've established that the founding myth of America is actually racist and evil and built on slavery. And therefore America itself must be racist, evil, and built on slavery. So, like, it's not a good thing, it's a bad thing.
Well,
so what you're thinking is a noble...
A certain percentage of elitists or the elite believe that. But I think that...
I'm not saying every single one.
I would say that the majority is pure apathy. I would say that is their consideration of it. They don't fucking care. They care about themselves. They care about their few homes. They care about their friends. They care about their income and their portfolio. But when it comes to symbolism, they don't believe in any of that shit.
I think it's not that they don't believe in it. What it is that they find it morally repugnant.
I don't know. I think you're reading into a little bit more than I think is there. I don't think it is actual, like, a loathing. If it is a loathing, it's just for the sake of status.
I'm not saying it's a loathing. I'm saying, like you know, I don't loathe necessarily things that I find morally gross. You know, like, I don't know, picking your nose and
it's the morally gross.
Like,
that's the assumption you're making. I'm not saying that.
No, but I think for I'm not saying it's for all or anything, or even the majority or anything like that.
I would agree a minority thinks that way.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, if there are many different strands of reasons for things woven into any mass movement, one of those strands is the consequence of the paradigm shift, which is all that was good is now bad. So all of it now gives you a kind of, you know, moral distaste. And I remember, like, being a part of this, to be honest, when I was in my 20s. Like, it did, for some reason, I find British flags and English flags are difficult things to deal with. Like, unironically, you become kind of trained to dislike these things, and it's the symbol of what it symbolizes, the meaning of what it symbolizes. And so there is definitely, for like the middle class intellectual lefties, moral distaste that's coming out of the symbolism of the nation because of their interpretation of the founding narrative.
I think that you are correct overall in what you're saying here, but I think that you are incorrect into the percentage that it applies to, because I think...
Well, no, I'm just specifying the criteria.
No,
So, like, the
no,
intellectual
no.
sort of bourgeois lefties.
You are correct. You're correct. It doesn't even have to be like the bourgeois lefties. I'm saying bourgeois. Like, that is what I'm saying. And I think that it is the higher... It's not necessarily the negative ideal that you're looking at. I think it's the higher ideal of internationalism. I think that that is... the way that they conceive of it is, why don't you want to have, the Union Jack up? It's because, well, nationalism, we're beyond that.
Yeah.
It's
so that's
not...
what I mean. That's the moral distaste.
I suppose, but it's not just the negative. It's the higher concept, the higher ideal of internationalism.
Yeah, and that makes the idea of going back to the previous morality.
Sure,
repulsive.
yes. So
and it like feels dirty to them.
So then you are correct, but I just want to stress that it isn't just the negative, that they do have a positive in mind, but their positive is, well, utopian feudalism, I guess you could say.
No, that's not the utopia as they imagine it. They think it's going to be fucking John Lennon's Imagine, where everyone's just happy and has everything they want all the time. That's you're taking the realist's position on what you actually think is going to happen. What they want is peace and love and hippie flowers. It really is a fucking hippie, dreamy mentality.
I think that a minority, but a distinct minority, a sizable minority, are the realists, and that they welcome this new form of feudalism. I think because they know they are the
neocons,
because they know they hold the whip, that they welcome it.
It certainly doesn't disadvantage them,
I think the majority are retarded utopians, but I am very, very certain that there is a sizable percentage of malevolence, because I don't think we get to this point without a certain amount of malevolence. I don't think we just sleptwalk our way here. A certain percentage are definitely the ignorant utopians, sure, but I don't believe for a fucking second that we got all the way to this point because of everyone being an innocent utopian fucking retard.
Yeah. And I suppose we'd point to George Soros in this regard, right?
Wrap your head around what the fuck is in that guy's mind.
Well, I can only really view it as malevolence. Like, he's directly attacking nation states. Like, you don't get banned from countries unless you're a threat to the country.
Yeah.
So and he funds all of this. All of it. All of this activism is funded by Soros in some way.
You say that, but I question. I would like to see some very deep dive reporting into who is funding all of these left-wing causes. Because while you are going to have a certain amount of stupid, useful, low amount funding, like no refunds, Bernie Sanders sort of deal, there is an element of that. But when it gets into the high organization, all the millions and millions of dollars for hiring all these lawyers, like people have talked about, like the amount of money that's... And there's a tweet that someone told me to reference here in a second, so we'll get to that in a second. But when it comes to the insane amount of funding that's going into all this shit, my question is...
And sex, sorry.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I should wait or continue.
So I thought I heard something else.
Okay, so...
Your question is?
Yes, so the question is... George Soros funding, small donations funding, general left funding. Okay, next step. And I've talked to you this briefly already in private chat. How much of what is going on here is Chinese money? How much of this is done from the Chinese for subversion of the West? How much?
Honestly,
is
I
it
don't
zero?
think the
I don't think
Chinese
so.
are needed. I mean, if on the assumption that the Chinese had spent zero money, I would not be surprised. I think that the 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 influence can all fairly well be accounted for. I mean, in 2016, Black Lives Matter got $100 million. To this year, they must have raised something like $500 million, man.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's staggering. Every fucking corporation, celebrity,
Yeah.
blah
Yeah.
blah
Yeah.
blah, genuflecting, virtue signaling, and pouring gold into their pockets.
Yeah.
Like it's unreal. I mean, China must be thrilled that the enemy is destroying itself with its own
Yeah.
resources.
Absolutely.
Like they don't even need to get involved. If I were them, I'd be like, well, never.
Sure.
You know, what did Napoleon say? Never
But
interrupt your enemy.
Considering the number of spies in the United States that we've seen over the years, I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
say that the amount cannot be zero. Especially with what's going on in Hollywood, it cannot be zero.
Yeah, it's probably not, but I think that it doesn't matter. I think they've got enough money
Well,
and cultural momentum to do it without China.
I think that in terms of realpolitik, it does matter. Because what can be associated with a foreign power can also be associated with a domestic power. If you can link them, then you can better combat them and remove them.
Yeah. Well, the problem is Russiagate just happened, and I think if there's one thing that we really should be clear about is apply Hanlon's razor. No, which razor is it? There's a particular razor, but just apply that which essentially is under our own control, because you don't want to turn into a hysterical conspiracy theorist. Like
I know that, but I'm saying here that my point is that if we can, let's say you're an activist, if we can prove you are funded by the Chinese, and if you've made connections with the Chinese, then you're a spy, and you don't have any rights.
Yeah, but that's too far. That's way too far.
I don't think so.
There are legitimate reasons to have to deal with China, right? As well as being
my point is,
but this is exactly the path the Democrats went down, right? So you can't go down that same path. So, I mean, if we find significant evidence of Chinese interference, fine, do something, Obviously, if you've got, like, evidence, follow it, take appropriate action. But I don't see any need to invoke a foreign power here. This is all being done by the West's own fucking, like, internal
in large part, you are correct. But the issue is, like I say, a matter of if there is contact between these people and the Chinese state, of which we've already seen plenty of spies, and I think that
sure, if you get evidence for it, go for it.
But
go after them hard.
I am saying that when it comes to the state, it's the concept of hops. How far are you away from the original person that we want to investigate? Right. And I'm just saying maybe we go a couple hops and we start dragnetting some of these people. Because you sit there and you make your considerations, and you are correct, Sargon. But do these communists really have any consideration towards you?
No, I don't think it's an invalid thing to do to ban the Open Society Foundations from operating your country.
Yes,
I don't think that's invalid at all.
And we need to start scrutinizing our eunuchs in government, the permanent bureaucrats. Because there seems to be some real questions as to their loyalty. There seems to be some real questions about who they actually serve. And if you were to ask me, like, I'm in Congress tomorrow, we're starting a committee, and we're starting to vet all these fucking people in government. Because we're finding spies left and right. You're telling me that none of these people in government have sympathies to the Chinese, and that's not how these people got, like a lot of these people that we're finding are senior level people, like up the ladder. Who fucking promoted them?
There have been something like 12 university professors who have been prosecuted for spying and sending back secrets.
Fuck the professors. I'm talking
Did you not know that?
I'm talking, dude. You're right.
Separate.
You're right, but fuck the professors. I'm talking about people in the military and shit.
Yeah.
That's extremely dangerous.
Yeah, but any level of your core institutions, this is terrible. This treasonous.
You're talking to the person that agrees with Nixon in Watchmen, who wants to see Harvard nuked. Like, I don't give a fuck. Jail every professor in the union. I don't care. But when it comes to the core elements of our state and our nation, which is the actual high levels of the bureaucracy, and especially within the military, which very clearly there's a lot going on there. Someone is promoting these people up the food chain, and their loyalty should be questioned.
It's the cathedral. They promote their own.
Exactly. Exactly. The people that are promoting them are sympathetic to their cause. And the question is, are they sympathetic to China's cause? And we got to find that out. And I think that
the answer is yes.
They'll call it a witch hunt. And just as it was with fucking McCarthy and everybody else in the 20th century, we're going to find some fucking witches.
Don't say that either.
Kyle
Kalinske went on Fox News and literally said that, right?
And I'm telling you.
Hang on. Right. Okay. So Kyle Kalinske literally went on Fox News, and it was amazing. Like, out of the echo chamber and into a room for, he's by Skype or whatever, but like into a room full of people who disagree, and he's got these like lights in his eyes that made his eyes look big and shiny, and no, seriously, and he's like kind of got this half smile. Yeah, I'm going to stick it to the Conservatives.
Yeah.
And then, they're like, well, this is taking on aspects of a witch hunt. And he's like, well, I don't know, but we are finding a lot of witches. And it's like, Kyle, you fucking brainlet. That's the problem with the witch hunt. It always finds witches, but witches don't exist, Kyle.
Okay, fine. It's
metaphor.
It's a communist hunt, and we're finding a lot of communists.
And now that's fine, because there are a lot of communists,
But,
like they complain about McCarthy, but it's like, yeah, but he was right, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. And
I know.
What's crazy is, again, effective right-winger, only so effective, but the manipulation around the truth of what happened, and Razorfist has been very good about what happened there. Hollywood demonized that so much and spun this totally false narrative about what happened. For decades they've been portraying this narrative. It's because Hollywood was full of fucking communists.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they hate him.
Yeah. I think the intellectuals are probably going to forever be communists in the West now. I think we're stuck with them, essentially, forever. It's like herpes.
You say that, but again, the Han Dynasty and the eunuchs, there weren't any eunuchs after a certain event took place. So
okay, what happened with the Han Dynasty?
They killed all the eunuchs.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's not like their sons are taken.
It was like 13 eunuchs that were basically super powerful within the Han Dynasty's bureaucracy, and they conspired to kill Han Jin, or He Jin, who was the main general for the dynasty, and then Jin was a friend of Dong Zhou, and he rolled into the capital, which I think was Chang'an, and he was like, "All right, I'm in charge now," and he killed everybody, and so he was in charge. And
so he was the Raz to the autonomous Chinese zone.
Yaz, was it Raz or Yaz? What is it?
Raz, whatever the face.
He's kind of a fucking pussy. So, no, he rolled in there and was manically laughing.
Did you not see that he was handing out guns?
Whatever. He Dong.
Whatever. What do you mean, dude?
Nah, fuck him. Fuck him and this pussy limp-wristed shit. Whatever.
What, is he not badass enough now?
Yeah, if he rolled in and someone was like, "Hey, you're not in charge. This is an anarchist zone," and he shot him in the head and said, "I'm in charge," I would respect that. But
not bloody. Look, he's amassing a child soldier army. He's a proper warlord.
When he starts killing criminals, I will respect it. But up until the point he's doing all this,
I'm not saying I respect
shit,
him, but I'm saying that he's definitely taking on the aspect of a Somalian warlord.
When he's walking up to people and hugging them and being like, bruh, and he's like trying to not gaslight them, but like neg them into doing what's right. That's some fucking womany faggy shit, bro. Fuck that. Like, right. I'm talking about Lord of the Flies dropping some fucking rocks kind of shit here. All right, like, the nature...
He needs to step up his game to get
when
your
it comes
respect.
to the nature of force, there's the true nature of force and the false nature of force. And fuck the falsehood nature of negging people to obey you. That's some limp-wristed shit. Force is force, and be true to it. There's no reason to lie. There's no reason to lie about...
wimpy shit.
Yes. Because I thought about this before. If, let's say, like, we're going to a convention, we're on a plane. It's you, I, and a bunch of other people. We're going to some convention together, but we crash land on an island. Okay? Hierarchy is going to be asserted as soon as we make sure everyone's okay. Everyone's taken care of. Everyone's patched up. We're all fine. We're on the beach, okay? We're securing briefcases. It's lost, okay? Hierarchy is being asserted the second that everyone's okay. Because without it, it's anarchy, and more people are going to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Because the nature of humanity is hierarchy. Hierarchy is natural to humanity. It is like breathing. And I don't think you deny that, do you?
No, of course. It's a fundamental part of any organization.
So, when in an emergency situation, such as it is in the fag zone in fucking Seattle, or on you and I on a beach after an emergency, we must immediately establish some form of hierarchy to deal with that situation to avoid more suffering than that would exist without it.
Only if you want to get things done. Like, if you don't want to get anything done, you don't establish a hierarchy.
That is that's a fact. But I'm speaking to even the like, not even like a utilitarian perspective on it, but like even a more moral perspective of like, there will be more suffering. There will be a greater likelihood of misunderstanding, error, and so on, unless we create structure, organization, authority that we can all rally around and take in the person, whoever it is, or the system, the council, whatever it is, can take charge, organize, and strategize to make sure that everyone makes it home.
Yeah.
So I think that even in the case of, and that's why I think it is right. You walk into the anarchist zone and some fucking anarchist fag walks up to you and he's like, you can't do anything to me. Anarchy, bro. I'm going to spray paint this. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to steal this. No. Blow that motherfucker away. Nuke that motherfucker as an example. And take charge of that situation, because that is what you must do to be moral. To avoid more suffering. To avoid more unfairness and all the evils of the world. To avoid those things and to stop them, to halt them, you must do what is necessary. And to stop evil, at times, you must be evil or do evil. That's my philosophy.
Thus endeth the sermon.
Well, I'm serious about that.
You're not wrong. I mean, like,
I'm very serious about that. Because without
sometimes you have to defend yourself.
Because
people have to understand.
It's not. It is in part defense of yourself, but in actuality, it isn't. It isn't really defense. It is an aggressive step in order to protect yourself, but also everyone else. Not just from the evil people or the people that are manic and they're crazy because they think they can get away with anything, but to safeguard society from itself, to safeguard humanity from itself. And this is a very Jokian thing as well from, not Jokian, comedian philosophy from Watchmen, which is that in many ways, and this is a philosophical truth that philosophers have talked about forever, is in many ways, humanity is humanity is also its biggest threat. We are our biggest threat to ourselves, and hierarchy is necessary to protect all of us from ourselves. Because, like I say, like when the police back down, a lot of people start doing crazy shit, and I highly doubt that a huge percent of those people are fucking psychopaths. I highly doubt that.
Yeah, it's people who are acting because they can.
Yes, and they think that there won't be a penalty to their actions. So, unfortunately, for a certain percentage of people, and like I say in my own video, and I'm sure this is true of you, that if, let's say, the police left tomorrow, or the police are just absent where you are, we would be fine. We wouldn't take, other people's property. We wouldn't do evil things. But for a certain percentage of the population, they have the green light of their own conscience to do evil actions and unjustifiable actions just because they think they can get away with it.
Yeah. They just don't care.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a character deficit or if it's a brain chemistry issue or what it is exactly that is in the mind of that person who isn't evil. But we know they exist. And that, to me, is one of the many reasons that we must have, whether it's a hierarchy or, more prominently, order. And some force, some group or whatever that can execute and create a sense of order for a community, a society, whatever. It's important to have that, not because of the evil, because the evil will always exist, but for those people, to keep them in check. It's necessary.
Yeah.
And
this is just an understood sort of organizational principle of governance.
You say that, man, but fuck me.
Yeah, but I mean, like every sort of great thinker apart from the communists, which is why I'm leaving them out of.
Well, I honestly don't
knows this.
I don't think that what I'm saying here is commonly taught anymore. I don't.
No, but that's because we've been completely subverted by communists.
Well, that's what I mean.
But if you want to think about it, like if you go back to say Aristotle and Plato, and they think that man is just a political animal. They think that his natural state is in a city-state as a political entity. And then you've got the Christian era that governments are still imbued by God amongst men to create order. And then you've got the classically liberal view that governments arise out of men's desire for order. And then you've got the communist view, which is actually the problem is having order. And if we go back to chaos, then we'll finally have peace.
Yeah.
Or finally have freedom or whatever it is they're looking for.
Another
everyone apart from the communists agrees with us.
I know. The other thing is, well, with what's crazy and what's very, I don't know, I won't say necessarily unique because I couldn't say either way, but what may be unique towards Christianity in the West is how much in Christianity and in the Bible it specifies specifically obey the law.
Oh, yeah.
How many lines are in the Bible that specify that and directly state it, plain and simple? Don't question. Are you questioning the Bible? Obey the law. And they aren't saying like the commandments, God law. They're saying specifically man's law. Obey it. Yeah. No equivocation, no questioning. Just simply, and I have to look it up to find you all the quotations, but it's so many of obey man's law, period.
But Jesus didn't give any governors advice, He wasn't saying the tax rate should be this, this should be an inheritance or anything like that. He was presenting a new moral paradigm. The thing that's really interesting about Christianity is its secular nature. It doesn't have a lot to say about governance.
Yes.
This shit all comes from the Middle Ages with the Catholic Church, but Jesus himself was not Muhammad. He wasn't Moses. Right. He didn't have to give secular laws because they were under the Romans. And so it's like, look, just do what the Romans tell you.
It was a lot more about virtue.
The real reward is in the next life, blah, blah, blah.
It specifies a lot about virtue, that is the focus, and rather than the fucking nightmare with Islam in terms of governance and law and renderings and judiciaries and that sort of deal, nightmare. But with Christianity, it's pretty hands-off for quite a bit of it. And like I say, though,
to its credit,
even with the hands-off nature, you have to give it credit for that perspective of just like it's simply a virtue that is constantly reinforced within the Bible of obey the law. The nature of the it's not even necessary. Like people could twist it and say, "Oh, it's promoting obedience." It's not that. It's not a nature of obedience for the sake of. It's promoting the concept of it is virtuous to obey the laws of the land. That it is a failure of you to disobey that law. It is a personal failure. So I think that that might be one of the things that played into the West being the best, so to say, that unlike all the peoples of the world that have all these problems, is it also one of the things you have to question is all these Western nations having until recently, having a very clear understanding of the idea and the rightness of property rights in so many places across the world that have like just a unbelievable millennia long, even in modern day, inability to accept property rights. This is true in Asia, this is true in the Middle East, this is true in South America, true in Africa. What is with all of these people across the world that fundamentally just are unwilling to accept the necessity even of property rights? Like, what is it? Why? What is so unique about the West? What the fuck is it?
I mean, what, like individual property rights?
No, I'm saying simply the concept of property rights. Like the basis of that to then build on. Like, this is the thing we don't violate because it's so fundamental to our societies. And it's across the West that this is true. But in so many nations across the world, so many societies, cultures, etc., they don't accept it. They refuse to accept this. Like, you don't get Venezuela.
I think primarily that is British influence on things, actually. The British, especially the English particularly, like Locke's entire philosophy is built on property rights. Like the idea of self-ownership is you as a piece of property.
I have to fucking say, then once again we reach the point where it's like restart the empire and colonize Asia, colonize every aspect of fucking South America, colonize Africa, colonize all of these places across the world until they fucking get it. Because this would unequivocally be a better world if, for the love of God, these countries, and yes, we have our problems now with it here, but it's like these countries don't have the problem that we do now, but they still are flirting with fucking Marxism, and it's like, fucking why?
It's why Africa is in such a state, mate.
Yes,
Africa is absolutely
it's not just
with
them.
Communists.
It's so South America too. Central America,
South
America.
Oh, yeah, totally. South America is an absolute hybrid.
And it's like you have examples in South America and across the world, including in Asia, where they try capitalism and their fucking productivity and their
Hong Kong.
What is it? Not material status, but
standard of living.
Standard of living. Thank you. It explodes to where it's never been in the history of the nation at any point ever before. It's unimaginable, and it's within like 100 fucking years, if even that. It's unbelievable.
Well, 99 years under the British, Hong Kong became something worthwhile.
The issue is, it's like I fundamentally don't understand what it is, other than maybe you're right. Like, I guess restart the empire and get to work, because for the love of fucking God, what kind of world would we be living in if that was the standard in all these nations? Like, the danger would be, I mean, from a real politic perspective, is the United States getting dethroned because we're so internally fucked.
That's what I'm worried about happening now.
We lose our hegemony. Well, I mean, if fucking right now you got India and China squaring off, it's like, good, go. CIA, get over there and let's get this going. You know, because...
Well, we've got to be with the Indians, I guess.
I don't think they need our help, from what I know about them.
Well, yeah,
I don't know if they need our help. Well, obviously, for real politics purposes.
No, not just for real politics. As a message to China. As a message to the Communist Party of China, no.
Yeah.
Well, you failed enough.
Yeah. I mean... I think the real message that we should be sending the Chinese, if they, and I don't want there to be a war and that sort of thing. So I'm of two minds about India versus China. Of one side, I don't want there to be conflict because I don't want there to be death and destruction and hardship for these people that are trying to get their fucking lives together, and especially in these two developing nations. But the fact is, then I got my 20th century Nixon persona of, listening to Henry Kissinger, and I decide when it's fucking doomsday. Let's get the fucking CIA over there and fucking instigate some shit. Let's get it going, because this will be their fucking Afghanistan. Just like we did with the fucking Soviets, we'll castrate them with a costly war that they're fucking unprepared for.
I hate to say it. On that note, I'm gonna head off.
Okay.
It's nearly midnight.
All right. Well, thank you for stopping by and doing the stream.
Anytime, man. Oh no, I really enjoyed it. I always like these chats, man.
All right, great. Thank you.
Cool. But yeah, thanks for having me.
All right.
See you later.
Yep. See you later, man.
See you, chat.
Okay, so that's Sargon heading off. We didn't, unfortunately, get to the Minnesota Freedom Fund because of my talking, so I apologize to the chat for that. That was my fault. So let's get back to the super chats. Baczynski says, as an outsider who always liked the United States, but by what it is, there's something I can't pin or explain about the American collective psyche, that you have high degree of freedoms, but paradoxically, some people don't understand there's a social contract to maintain, and you're cut off from there. That is a complicated question. I understand what you're saying, Baczynski, but that's a pretty complicated question. And I will skip it for now, but thank you for the support. Architect says, Louis, you don't believe in leniency for victimless crimes. I would say at the end of the day, if you resist, the sentence for any crime is death. So if it's not worth the life of an individual, should there even be a crime or a state involved? I'm not sure I understand your question. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying by that. It's not a matter of leniency. It's a matter of not discounting so-called victimless crimes. You're still violating the law. And the problem is that once you start accepting the violation of the law, it never stops. It is a slippery slope, and we all fucking know it, and we can all see it. So I believe that unless you want to be in a state where you're living in the anarchist zone in Seattle, you're going to have to accept my perspective of holding to the ideal. That people are going to suffer under that. Some people that didn't mean to do nothing. Oh, I got a family. I got this. I got that. I didn't mean to break the law. I'm sorry. Fuck them. In order for you to maintain the system, people are going to have to suffer. But it's their actions that got them there. You don't break the law, nothing's going to happen. If it's a wrongful conviction and so on, then obviously fight it and so forth. The state makes mistakes. But in terms of the ideal, we must hold to that ideal in order to maintain any kind of semblance of a system that we can recognize. Because when you abandon it, such as we have, then everyone's like, fuck property crimes, let people... There's all kinds of stories, go look these up, of prosecutors saying they're not going to prosecute property crimes anymore. What do you think the fucking effect of that is going to be? More property crimes, more acceptance towards criminality. It's a slippery slope. And I'm sorry, but who said this? Architect, you're fundamentally wrong. You are simply wrong. I'm not saying that I disagree with you. You're wrong. If you think that I'm wrong, you are wrong. Reality has demonstrated that I am correct. So I appreciate the support, bro. Maybe I'm misattributing to you and you're misattributing to me. We're having a miscommunication, but I'm telling you, if you abandon the ideal of prosecuting all crimes as much as we possibly can with our imperfect system, then you will see this degeneration to where we are now. It's one or the other. It's black or white. I'm telling you this. Black or white. And I'm telling you, I am on the side of prosecute all crimes. Hold to the ideal that all criminality is unacceptable. If you commit a crime, you will be prosecuted. Why? Because the law matters. Obeying the law matters. Our society matters. Your property rights matter. Our lives matter. All of these things matter. These are our societal values, and anyone that invalidates them, violates them, will be punished. That is the ideal that we should all be holding to, because it makes for a better society. And when we don't, it's decadence, decay, and fucking collapse, and into degeneracy, total degeneracy, and anarchy. I'm sorry, but that is how things have panned out. And I'm hungry. My stomach is grumbling, so we're going to have to finish this up. William says, what's happening now with the police is exactly what happened in RoboCop 3, only this time I doubt they'll pick up arms to defend the rights of the citizenry from raving degenerates and communist thugs. The police, yeah, I wouldn't rely on the police. I would rely on the working class that are rising up to defend their property. Hold on, let me check. Let me end the call in Discord. Okay. Pastor Louis, when can we expect your Kane and Lynch 2 review? Also, Hello Wags? I still have it on my desktop. I'm glad you want it. It's so funny for people. This is Dr. Sarcasm. I'm surprised people remember me talking about some of these things, but I'm very appreciative that you'd like to see it, but it's still on my desktop for now. But I still plan on finishing that. Dr. Sarcasm also asks, do you love the United States of America the same as or more than Ben Shapiro loves Israel? Also, hello, Wags again. I would say that I do have a love of the United States, but it sort of goes beyond that. It isn't just a love of the United States. It is. I don't know how I would describe it. Basically, I guess I would say that I view nationhood, our nationhood of the United States, more like I would view, like Christ. There is something more divine to it, and that to denigrate it is like a sort of violation, or it's like heresy in essence. I don't know if I could perfectly describe my feelings about the United States, but it crosses beyond the love of one's nation. Like, let's say I was Canadian. You can love Canada and appreciate Canada and love living in Canada, and there's all the things you like. You like its history and all the other stuff, but Canada's place in the world is not that big. It has influence. I like Tim Hortons. I like Labatt. You know, there's stuff in Canada that I like, and there's hockey in the United States, and so there's cultural relevance. There's celebrities relevance. There's aspects to Canada that have been exported that are good. So there's reasons to like Canada, but it's not the same as the United States. After the end of the Second World War, the United States has taken on a completely different place in the world. And I think without the United States, this fucking world would be fallen. This world would be awful. The whole world would be a fucking shithole without the United States. And I don't mean to denigrate the other great nations, because I think Sargon is fucking right that the British have done a lot of good in this world with their empire, that they have exported some very good values because of their direct involvement. But I cannot stand how withdrawn Britain is, the United Kingdom is. They have withdrawn from the fucking world, and I hate it. And that is one of my big criticisms of the UK, is they have abandoned the world. It's like, oh, we're so hung up on our own bullshit internal politics of racism and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's so selfish. It's so self-centered. It's so decadent and stupid. The UK has withdrawn from the world and has, in my view, fucking abandoned it to its own stupidity. And as they have done that, the United States has taken up their charge of trying to do something in this world better than what it could be as it is just left alone. And being that we are now in that position, I think there is something more to the United States than just simple nationalism. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'll leave it to you, my audience, those in the chat, those that are here to watch Sargon and so on. I'll leave it to you to say whether I'm right or wrong about that in my perspective. But I do think that the United States in this world, its place in it goes beyond that of just simply another nation. and that you have to respect that. Where was I? Joseph says, agreed, privatize student loan debts. Oh, not even just debt, dude. It's fucking the student loans. Like, I agree with you, but bro, the fucking loans themselves, what the fuck? Make loans liable to bankruptcy. I don't care about that. Debt is not charity. These programs breed socialists. Yes, agreed, Joe. Holders of worthless debt with holders of worthless degrees with $100,000 in debt won't respect property because they will never own any. Yes, Joseph. Yes, again, correct. Very good point. Thank you for the support by Joe here. Bull Moose says, we need to overturn New York Times versus the United States. That case is why we are in this mess. It allows news outlets to publish whatever they want, regardless of whether or not it's factual without repercussions. Maybe so, Bull Moose. I have long said that the only mistake the founders made was including the fucking press. And people debate whether they meant printing press or the press themselves, journalists. It's the only mistake of what they included in the Constitution. William says, your stream is no longer in my sub feed. It might be YouTube, it might be Streamlabs. I don't know what the fuck's going on with it. Sorry. I can only work with what I got. So let me refresh this and let's finish this up. Don't send any more in, please. We got to finish this up. Mr. PS4 says, hey, Louis, I live in a state where my vote against my governor won't get him out. Should I just leave this leftist shithole? I mean, it's up to you where you live. I mean, I live in New York, and I don't know, dude. It's so crazy in New York right now. There is a chance that we can dethrone fucking Cuomo. The problem is in New York that so much power has gravitated towards the governorship. So much power is in the hands of the governorship at this point in New York. It is insane to where the state is like a fiefdom. Like, you are the Lord, and the fucking assembly and the Senate is just like a joke. Like, they do whatever the governor fucking demands of them. Like, it has reached that point. Like, read the news. Anytime there's policy passed, it's because the governor goes, I demand this passed. And they do it at a moment's notice. It is crazy. So, the issue is, I don't think that Cuomo is in that good of a position right now in terms of him winning a re-election. So if the Republicans can find a candidate that has name recognition, has a fiery attitude, but is at least centered enough to sound, like a politician in the sense that I can do this job. I am a politician, but I am also appealing to the boomer conservatives in New York. I think that Cuomo can get kneecapped because he's going to get primary challenged again. And the Republicans, if they're smart, can lean into that, play that up, try to benefit that, and have him focused on that primary campaign. And he'll win it. Cuomo will win the primary. But once you get into the general, really come at him hard. Do some serious fucking fundraising, not just in New York, but on a national stage. Go after Cuomo, kneecap his ass, and take New York. Because in New York, the way that it's set up, there's going to be a lot of opposition because it's all fucking Cuomo's boys that are in there. But what you have to show is that a Republican can govern New York. And once you control that fucking powerful seat, now you're not getting any more blank check bullshit. Then you can actually start rolling back some of this shit slowly over years, and it will take years to roll this shit back. But you get some conservatives some wins, like roll back the SAFE Act, some shit like that. Lower taxes, do some shit for businesses, start trying to fight corruption in the state that is so out of control. And forward your agenda of privatization in New York City and other things that conservatives have been fighting for years in New York. Like, the governorship in New York is highly important. And as it relates to your state there, PS4 boy, it depends on the state as it is, like the nature of power in your state, where it's centered or how it's distributed. And if Republicans win an election, what can change? What good can be done? Are there, like, in terms of Oregon, Washington, California, even, like, where it's just impossible for fucking Republicans to win other than a handful of seats, and in the country, in, like, deep red districts, and things are so fucking out of control, especially if PS4 boy, you live in an expensive area. My suggestion for you is you have to weigh the consequences of moving away from your family and that sort of deal, and that can fuck you up, something serious. But if your choice is, let's say you already move away from your family and shit, and your choice is move somewhere cheaper to live, that's a red district, that's safe, and you can raise a family and enjoy yourself and still work and all this shit, then the choice should be obvious. Unless, like it is in my place in New York, as bad as New York is, I don't think New York is really a lost cause. In terms of the Democrat control, it runs deep, and there's a lot that you have to contend with, and rolling that shit back is one hell of a chore. But in New York, because of the way the Democrats have structured it, if the Republicans take the gubernatorial seat, if they take the governorship and the office, it's like handing them the lordship of a fiefdom or of a house, whatever. Like, it has so much power behind it already that, while, like I say, they'll have to deal with all the low-level fuckers that are Cuomo loyalists, they will hold the whip, so to say. And they can get a lot done, even with all the obstruction that they'll face. So it's not truly a lost cause. But it's your choice to make. I'm not going to force you to stay here or anywhere else. It's your choice. Bazinski says, one day I hope I can get invited to one of these streams discussing public order and cop business, because coming from the third world, it's like you guys, you look at Brazil. Also, Chaz and the person getting shocked by theft in the third world with a first world mentality. Yeah, bro, I know, Bazinski, your country to ours, it's like fucking night and day, I know, but it's like, we're headed in your direction. I mean, as much as we have our nonsense and first world status and so on, and yes, we do, and obviously the suburbs are not the inner cities. Like, none of this shit plays in the suburbs here, Bazinski. Like, if somebody gets a shed break-in, you have a lynch mob out. Like, my lawnmower just got robbed. There's a lynch mob the next day, rolling around, questioning everyone. You see anybody? You see what happened? Knocking on doors. Hey, did you see anyone steal this lawnmower? Do you have... Hey, a four-wheeler just got stolen. You know who stole it? You got any idea who stole it, who knew about it? And it's like, the whole suburb is questioning fucking everyone. All the business owners, they got flyers up. You know anything about this four-wheeler that got stolen? Call this number. They'll question you. Hey, did you hear about this four-wheeler that got stolen on so-and-so road by this guy's house? You know who stole that? You hear anything about that? Anybody say you that? Like, it's instantaneous around where I live. That shit doesn't play. If you got looters and all these people in the suburbs, you're going to get a lynch mob pretty fucking quick. And I'll be joining it. So that to me is the first world versus the third world. Is in the third world, you're powerless. You got nothing. You can't do anything about it. You get your shit stolen, and that is just it. And you can tweet me, Bazinski, whether I'm right or wrong about that. But that's my fundamental, the difference. Is in the first world, your shit gets stolen, which is not, human rights being violated, but your property being stolen. So property crime. In the first world suburbs, everyone's out on the roll. We're all out in the street. We're looking for that four-wheeler or that lawnmower that got stolen. We're looking for it, and we're questioning fucking everybody because we all understand that if my shit is getting taken or their shit's getting taken, then we all got a problem. and we're out there with aluminum bats questioning people, going literally door to door. And that has happened in my neighborhood several times in my lifetime. There have been break-ins in like garages and in people's sheds. This has happened a few times. And people in the neighborhood, without organization, before the internet and all this, everyone's going door to door. Do you see anything? Do you know what happened? Did your shit get taken? Like, police are involved, but they aren't even necessary. People are on the lookout to see what's going on. And, like, straight up, lynch mobs are formed. And like I said, I'm joining him. Prelatorian says, a Catholic can only simp his favorites. Jesus Christ. That was fucking Streamlabs' fault. A Catholic can only simp his favorite YouTuber so much without feeling shame. Well, the problem, if you're a Catholic, like I grew up to be, it's not even like your own beliefs. It's the fucking church, dude. The fucking Catholic Church is so cucked beyond belief. I've seen some like Protestant types excoriate the Catholic Church for having like leftist tendencies and weakness and shit. And it's like, yeah, it kind of does. Like there are some serious issues within the Catholic Church and being brought up Catholic and the way that you think. You kind of like lean left. It's kind of weird. I'll leave that to the theologians to figure out. The Bloody Talker says that all cops are heroes. That's a Devin Tracy reference. McCarthy did nothing wrong. I'm fed up and ready to purge the communists for my beautiful country. Fuck them all. Thank you, Bloody Talker. Agreed. Wow, what a name. For $1.26, which I'm not sure is a reference or not. Jogger with a hard R. Fantastic fucking name. Looks like a Tory member was behind the pressure to defund the Federalists. What? No way. No way. I gotta see that. I'll send this to Sargon. Oh, okay. I think I misunderstood. I thought you said that, like, the Tories were behind this. I was gonna be like, fucking what? Let me, I'll send this to Sargon. But he's probably going to bed, but I'll send it to him anyways. I'll put this in, the symposium as well. I'll at him. Let's see here. Okay. So thank you there, Jogger. Charlie says, you and Sargon need to see these replacement names for Chaz, now Chop. The final suggestion is incredibly spicy. Okay. Here, I'll get a new, since I'm going back to Twitter, I'll get a new image for the screen. I've seen people complaining about that. They want a new image. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I'll do this right here. There we go. People complained last time, get these lolies off this screen. Well, you're going to get a loli if you keep saying that shit. So, put this loli on screen. Replacement names. I guess I'll put this on screen for us to see. Oh my god. Oh my god, that is so funny. Hold on, I'm gonna retweet that. That is so fucking funny. Wokadishu I've seen, Soviet Union I've seen, Antifa-stan, Yemen and women? What? Yemen and women. I don't get that joke. I realize it's a joke. I don't get it. Anarchistan. Seattle United Communist Kale supporters sucks. I can't believe they put this on Fox News. The open air faculty lodge. Oh, that would have been so good if it was Faculty Lounge. Faculty Lounge, not Lodge. The open air Faculty Lounge. That would be so fucking funny. And finally, Chicago. Oh, thank you, Charlie, for this. Oh my god, that is so great. Oh man, dude, this one here, the open air Faculty Lounge, that could have been so fucking funny. That would be next level fucking funny. Chicago is also great. That's like a boom, just like a one-liner. But this one is actually a little bit smarter, and that is so great. So thank you for that. In Ireland, where the Conservative Party ran by a gay man who is in the pocket of China, and all the multinationals constantly raving about diversity, and LGBT proposing a bill about under 16s changing identity, I like after gay marriage, it's never enough. Yeah, unfortunately for like Scotland and Ireland, and I'm not sure if you mean like Northern Ireland or Ireland, but they're like crazy leftist shitholes, and I'm not really sure why. Like, you have I know Dank has said that unfortunately, because the Scottish National Party is the Scottish National Party, that they can just do anything. Because they have Scottish and national or nationalists or whatever in their names, so they can get away with anything. But I just don't understand, like, isn't Ireland like a super conservative nation where just recently they had gay marriage and abortion was legalized or fucking whatever, like, and it's doing all this shit too? Like, really? I find that kind of hard to believe. Like, Ireland is described to me like Poland is or Hungary is. I don't really get it. Or maybe you're talking about North Ireland or whatever the fuck. You people, you Brits and your weird ass fucking politics there. You're all possessions of the British in my mind. There's a hot take for you. Prelatorian Vet says, also, here is the Black Lives Matter fund run by a charity, Act Blue. Yeah, Act Blue is not a charity. It's an arm of the Democratic Party. I've known about Act Blue for a very, very long time, even when I was a proud Democrat supporter. Act Blue is another arm of the Democrat Party. It funnels money into the DNC or the DCCC. It's a fundraising mechanism for the party, like the literal party itself. Act Blue is a fundraising mechanism for them. It's not a charity. It's a Democrat slush fund for the party. If you check their website, if you check Black Lives Matter homepage, click donate, takes you there, the website, Twitter link. Yeah, Prelatorian Vet, 100%. There is absolutely no question. Act Blue is a mechanism for the Democratic Party to fundraise for its own institution. So the GOP has this too, like its own like organization that specializes in fundraising for PACs and shit. That's what Act Blue is. It's a mechanism for fundraising for the party. So this is no new information for me. People didn't know this. Charlie says, based Russian. What is this? In the United States, I won't put this on screen because I don't know what it is. Black and white to do this, in the United States, the problem of blacks and whites is eradicable. Reconciling them once and for all is difficult. Well, if it's difficult, it doesn't necessarily mean it's ineradicable. They're Zervovsky, whatever. If you really think it is, then just say it is. Don't back down after your first sentence. Periodically, conflicts will still occur. Therefore, you need to create two Americas, black and white. Woo, man. To do this, transfer 2 or 3 states to black Americans. Well, see, now, again, you're misunderstanding the situation. It's It's the radicalized black nationalists, yes, but it's also the leftists. Like, don't discount them. Like, people are like, it's why I fundamentally disagree with the alt-right. Like, the alt-right is like, we need to bring in more socialists from fucking Europe. It's like, I think we already have enough bourgeois, limp-wristed fucking left-wing faggots in this country. Why the fuck do you want to bring in more of them from fucking Europe? Just because they're white? Racial collectivism is fucking retarded. Even just for, like, we're the fascists and we're, like, real politic to an extreme. No, you're not. We have enough socialists in the United States. We don't want more. Bringing in more white, leftist, faggot, fucking middle-class kids from Europe is going to it's going to exacerbate the problem we already have. What the fuck are you talking about just because they're white? Anyways. So this Russian guy, he's from Russia. He doesn't understand this shit. For example, in the north, closer to Canada, there they can live in peace. No, dude, they riot here too. You're wrong. They riot in this area too. I'm as close as conceivably possible to the border. Okay? The border, like, fucking Buffalo is as close as the border is to me. The border is like 15 minutes, if even that. If there's light traffic, I can cross the border into Canada. I think. Can you cross to Canada with just the advanced license in New York, or does it require a passport? I think I might require a passport now. So I need to get a passport to cross over to Canada, but it's like 15 minutes from me. And that's even with traffic. You're wrong. I know this for a fact. There will be its own black police, black doctors, black teachers that already exist now. And they will not collide with whites that already exist now in cities. Maybe even restrict whites' entry into the states. The second thing you need to start is to help all the black Americans who wish to move to Africa. Well, this is a different conversation. This has some merit to it, and it is realpolitik. You can frame it in certain ways to sell it to the normies, but there is realpolitik here. We need to basically pressure the black nationalists to do what they claim they want to do and push them out of the country. To say, okay, we're going to finance you to renounce your citizenship and go to Africa or wherever the fuck. Who cares? But push these people out. And I think that with realpolitik and political realism, we could... And I think a broad coalition of the right can get on board with this because we can stand to gain a lot with this. Don't go after the blacks. Go after all the communists, the leftists, the intellectuals, academics, all these, the journalists, the celebrities. Get them all. Dragnet them. Push them towards renouncing their citizenship. Because I don't believe for a fucking second that half these fucking people are going to do it. Because I think they're full of fucking shit when they're like, oh, America's evil, blah, blah, blah. If you truly believe America's evil and fallen, leave. America's beyond redemption, leave. Call them out on it, pressure them, really do it. And I would say use the state. Use the state to some capacity to lean on them. And say, oh, you want to leave America? You hate America? Here's a way to do it. We could fast track you. We'll pay you. You want the money? You want money? Hey, we'll give you this money. And pressure them. Really, pressure them to renounce their citizenship. Because they're internationalists. Some of them will take the money. They're internationalists. Some of them will take the money and leave. And if you're on the right, we have everything to gain. We have everything to gain by this. And if you disagree, you fundamentally don't understand why. Why you're wrong. We stand to gain by this. But I want to make it very clear. This isn't just about the blacks, okay? Because there's plenty of blacks that I know that are going to stay and that are decent Americans, even if we have our problems and all the rest. There are decent Americans that recognize that they are American and want to stay, okay? It's every one of these black nationalists that we have to fucking push on, that are radicals, that are terrorists, that have killed cops and killed whites and all the rest. They need to go. And we have this strategy. We have one ace in the hole that we can pull, and it's this. Is to create infrastructure within the state to give them the mechanism to leave, to create everything necessary to fucking cut through all the red tape and fast track the process of applying for citizenship, being granted for citizenship, and renouncing citizenship, paying them to do that, and then boom, one problem in our society, one member of the fifth column, gone. And I'll leave it there. On the whole, this Russian politician is wrong, but in one aspect he is correct. Patrick says go off on Shu. I don't feel like it. Walnut Red says, ask Sargon what he thinks a witch is. Ever heard of Aleister Crowley, Marina Abramovich, etc.? Just because you don't believe in anything supernatural doesn't mean these people aren't fucked and crazy. I know what you're saying there, Walnut, and do evil, heinous shit. Yeah, I have to say that there are, like, weird Satanists out there, like, you know, witch types, Satanist types that, like, straight up believe in this shit. Like, I don't know, like, it's weird. Like, and the thing is, too, is I am an atheist, but the Christians that believe that there is evil out there, that people are out there worshiping evil shit, there is something to that. There is something to that is true. It's not just like I went through the whole new atheism shit, and I am still an atheist. As much as you heard me praising the Bible earlier, because it is just a question in my mind of A or B. Do you believe or don't you? And the issue is, though, like, I never understood the people that are like, well, I'm gonna join the Satanist club or the Satan worshippers or whatever they're called, like, and all this other shit, all that other shit that is on top of that. It's just like, I can respect, you know, Christopher Hitchens and intellectuals that are out there and like, hey, challenge me to a debate and I'm going to get passionate and pontificate in front of a podium. That's my deal. But, like, going beyond that and saying, like, no, I'm going to go that extra level and, like, demonize Christians and fuck with Christians and attack Christians and Christianity and all this weird, like, all this other element to it of, like, Satan worship and all this other thing. Like, I don't get that, and some of that isn't LARPing. Some of it definitely is LARPing and fucking with Christians and trolling. Some of it is not. And for the portion of it is that isn't role-playing, that is real, I don't really have an answer for you. Like, I don't like it. That's really my only answer to those of you that are listening to this that are Christians. I recognize that there is something there, and I actively dislike it too. I just don't understand it. That's as much as I can say to you about it. I do recognize there is something there, and I actively dislike it. Because when it comes to the question of God, Christianity, it is a simple matter of what do you believe? And a question of yes or no. Do you believe this? No. Do you believe this? Well, maybe so. Do you believe this? Well, I'm not sure. Like, it's that kind of serious and more abstract and intellectual conversation. It's not anything to do with punitive action towards others. It's about what you as an individual believe. And as well as the question of what makes a better society. Is it belief in Christianity, or if it is something closer to, like, lofty secularism and a more atheistic attitude, but with a conservative disposition, which is generally what you would find with something like me and Sargon. And the problem is that we would concede is there's too many people that go into atheism that become like crazy communists, because they're the hole that is left from them, like like losing faith in God creates a hole in them, and it's replaced by communism. And that is not a good proposal. I'd rather you be a Christian than you be this crazy communist who is deranged and irrational, because your loss of faith has created this hole in you, this vacuum in you, that you fill it with irrational shit and creates a worse situation, not just for everyone around you, but for you. Like, if you are the person seeking redemption, you can find it in Christianity, but the shit coming out of the left, there is no redemption. You can never be redeemed. You can never be happy. You can never be healthy. At least there is that in fucking Christianity. And even with Christians, tomorrow I go, well, maybe I want to talk about Christianity. Fuck atheism. Maybe I'm a Christian again. The Christians are waiting with bated breath to bring you back into the fold. They are fighting one another, squabbling with one another to be the first in front of you to welcome you back. That is the nature of Christianity, is squabbling with one another to be the first in line to welcome you back into the fold of Christendom. Whether it's the Mormons and the rest, the different types, and whether you consider the Mormons actually Christian or not. You're going to have a debate over that shit. But that's what I mean. Like, the proselytizing, it's strong in Christianity. And it's not for the sake of, give me money, although there is that. A lot of it is the true blue. We want to save you. We want to deliver you. We want to, what we think is help you find happiness, find redemption. Whether it's you're just simply depressed and unhappy, or it's you're addicted to drugs or whatever. Like, they want you to be a better person. They want to truly help you. And there is a considerable amount of Christians that have that disposition. So the question is, like, what makes a better society? And I think that even though I am the galaxy-brained atheist guy that can't still get over the fact that Christopher Hitchens is dead, like, I'm still bereaved by him being dead. The issue is that when you take a hard look at what the outcomes have been, atheism for a serious number of people is not leading to better results. Because, like, another aspect of, and I don't want to go on too long about this because I'm hungry, is the people in the atheist movement that are, like, degenerate polygamists and shit like that, I just can't really get on board, like, especially, like, if you're married and shit, and you're, like, this crazy degenerate polygamist and adulterer and shit. It's like, I understand, like, yeah, we agree, like, yeah, there's probably not a God. Why are you a fucking degenerate? Why are you cheating on your wife? Why are you doing these evil things? Like, why do you have so lack of personal conviction and character that you do these terrible things? Why? Like, I believe in the same thing that you do. We both have a lack of belief, so to say. It's not really belief. It's a lack of belief. Why are you doing these evil things? Because I have a lack of belief, and I think it's unbelievably wrong to commit adultery. I think polygamy is wrong and monogamy is right. Like, just go down the line. Like, I do have a bunch of beliefs that are philosophically conservative, that are very traditional or traditionalist, and I hold to them. And I don't understand that because you've abandoned this one belief that you should just abandon any value, any character, any standard, any sense of personal integrity or that of respect of others. Like, what sanctions you in your own conscience to do these terrible things to those that you claim to love? I just can't find it within me to understand what justifies that in your own mind. Like, if a Christian commits adultery, then we all know they're wrong. Like, we all know that you're wrong to do that. And that's a personal failure that you need to sort the fuck out. But when an atheist does it, it's like, well, now you've just proven the Christian's right. You abandoned your belief in Christ, and now you've abandoned any standard in life. You just look terrible. Anyways. So yeah, there's your, like, we need to create the, atheist inquisition, where we go around and we flog all the fucking atheists that don't live up to traditionist attitudes. Like, all the attitudes and traditions that would be under Christendom, like, we flog them for not continuing those traditions. I think that was a very long answer. I probably shouldn't have said all that. I think you need to read a bit more into my last chat What I mean by removing victimless crimes, e.g., seatbelt laws and regulations that are meant to protect people from themselves. Property crimes do have a victim. Architect. Oh, okay. There it was. It was a miscommunication. I'm sorry then. I totally misunderstood your super chat or whatever the fuck on Streamlabs. Yes. Sorry about that. That is far more worthy of consideration. So you are, in fact, correct. There is far more argumentation as it relates to those kind of regulations, as it relates to seatbelt laws, environmental laws. Like, great example. Seatbelt laws, because of how many car crashes exist, and there have been studies that say that they save lives in that. They still cause injuries in that, but they do save lives and et cetera. And you have whiplash and other things, but better than going through your fucking windshield. That is debatable, and there is a choice. There's a principled argument between liberty and safety and that sort of deal. So yes, yeah, you're right. Where I would say truly is my pet peeve, growing up, is private clubs, private bars, private organizations, all these things that I have so much respect for, being told by the state that they cannot be allowed to smoke on the property. Like, you own your own fraternity or club, whatever, and you can't even smoke on the fucking property? You run a cigar club, you can't even smoke inside? That is so utterly ridiculous. I know that a lot of people dislike smoking and smokers, but I think that is anathema to our history in America, where we had motherfucking founders growing tobacco. Here we are in our limp dick future, where you can't even enjoy a cigarette on your own fucking property. Does it cause cancer? Is it, raising the chance that it's going to kill you? Absolutely yes, but god damn it, what does liberty mean if we are throwing everything away for the sake of fucking faggots that shouldn't even be on that property? If it's their club, their property, and they want to enjoy a cigarette, then it's up to the fucking owner. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out of there. I can't take this shit of how much red tape, bureaucracy, and all this that is anathema to our founding that we have placed upon private property owners, business owners. It has gone way, way, way too far. And New York is one of the worst examples for this. So, I would say to that degree there, architects, you are correct. I would say that a lot of this is very worthy of consideration. Seatbelts, as your example, I would say are, from my understanding, more good than they are evil. And I think that there is a necessity to enforce them because of how many accidents we have in the United States. And can we do better and have different tactics? And is the seatbelt itself really solving the problem? No, it isn't, because of how many accidents we have overall. A better strategy is warranted there. But from the perspective of laws around property rights, individual liberty, and that sort of deal related to, especially on, like I say, not on public highways, but more particularly on your own property, I think that it is clear that we have gone far too far to violating the rights of the individual and the property owner as to what they can do with their own fucking property. We have gone crazy about that in the last century and in this century, this new one. It is out of control. And like I say about tobacco in particular, that's my pet peeve. Our founders, a bunch of them, go back and look, they grew tobacco. And they smoked. You're telling me that they would be accepting of the concept that on your own property you aren't allowed to smoke a cigarette? Come on. And yes, is it poisonous and harmful and all this? Yes. But the fact is, so much in life of what kills you is your choice. I'm going to go out, I'm going to eat 1 million hamburgers from Burger King and kill myself with obesity. I'm going to go drink myself to death with alcohol, which you can overdose on. You can overdose on fucking water. It's the problem isn't smoking or drinking or all these different vices or overeating fatty foods. It's excess. It is the lack of self-control that is the problem. It isn't the fact that smoking exists. Tobacco simply exists. It is you being excessive in its use. And I mean, I'm not, you get into the drug issue. I don't even want to get into the drug issue with that, because I think, unfortunately, with the drug issue, things are too degenerate at this point where I'm willing to entertain, let's legalize fucking heroin. It's like, things aren't bad enough. Like, come on. Like, to me, the argument is lost there for the time being, because we're way too fucked up at the moment. But as it relates to things like smaller things like that of individual business owners, I think that we really need to have a national debate as it relates to that, about how far we have gone as to restricting the rights of the individual on their own fucking property and what they're allowed to do with it. I think that's unquestionable at this point. So thanks for that super chat, and I'm sorry for the miscommunication from before there, Architect. Okay, so these are going to be the last two. From Kenrick, who says, Preach, Pastor Louis, Cop Street, when? I haven't decided just yet. I know that people are desperate for it. A considerable number of you, I say that, but a decent number of you want it. I'm considering one. I'm weighing my decisions because something's coming out in 2 days. I've already tweeted about it. 3 things, in fact, are coming out in 2 days. And I'm weighing that up. I don't want to stream too much and weigh you guys down. Because if I stream too much, I've noticed this in the past, people stop watching. So, I should stream more, yes. But I don't want to overindulge in it because it makes you lazy, I find. It makes content creators lazy. And people hit a saturation point. And if you want to be creative and you want to try to mix up what you do, it's best not to simply do one thing over and over. And I try not to do that. No Name says, Hey, Louis, you know who really hates the blacks? Indians. Yeah, my upbringing says that's true. I think the only time in my life, I had a friend of mine when I was in high school who was Native American, or I say that to be polite because I think it's a communist term, but Indian, American Indian. A guy I was friends with in high school, he was like that. I think the only person I've ever in public heard say the word nigger was him. But the fact is that he and his family had like a beef with like some black people that live nearby. And so there is like a familiar problem that was there, like a beef between two families for why he harbors like probably legit bigotry against blacks. And I haven't talked to him for a long, long time, so who knows, maybe he stopped being this way. But yeah, you're not wrong there. And the issue is, like, am I going to tell an American Indian to not say nigger? Like, is it right? Nah, dude, it's not right to say nigger to a random black person. But, like, I don't know. Like, what should I say? What do you want me to say to this guy? Like, I know it's not right, because you don't know this guy you're saying it to, because that's what it was in high school. This one, he wasn't really a nerd. He was like a quasi-jock. He hung out with like the jocks and the preppy kids, but he was black. I don't know if he was on any teams or anything, though, like extracurricular shit. I don't know if he did any of that. But he hung out with like the jocks and the preps, and that's who he said it to. They got into some like verbal altercation in like the hall or something like that. And he said something like dismissive, like, you say that, but you're just your average nigger, like whatever. And especially at the time, I said to him afterwards, I was like, dude, that was fucked up what you said to him. I didn't really like the kid either, but I didn't have any problems with him. But I was like, bro, you kind of stepped across the line there. That was fucked up. But the dude's American Indian. Like, what the fuck are you going to say to him? But like I say, I concede. But, you never know. He could be a different person completely today. I haven't talked to him in a decade. But it was fucked up. You know, I will concede you. I mean, that's the thing. People can say whatever they want to about me. I have the loli on screen. in part because I know people know that about me, but also because I have people still to this day calling me a pedophile and shit, thinking they know something about me. Like, they legit say that they think I'm a pedophile when it's like, I don't even talk about this anymore. I don't watch any lowly shit. I don't talk about anime. Like, I don't play any lowly visual novels. Like, you got nothing on me. So you're completely full of fucking shit when it comes to that. But in that same way, as it relates to the word nigger, I've never called a black person a nigger in my life. I've never referenced a black person in my life as being a nigger. If I have, find the video. Find any evidence of that. I've never said that about any black person. That's part of the joke. That's part of the reason why I say it. Is because I've never done anything that I would consider to be racist or wrong, unfair to someone. I've never done that. And if you have an example, show me. Show me the example where I've done just that. I've only ever used the word in a way that's, like it was in that video, my last review of Copland. I said gear nigger and gun nigger, meaning gearhead and gun nuts. I said that as a self-deprecating joke. Here's me explaining you the joke. Common phrase, gearhead, gun nuts. I said gear nigger, gun nigger. Who says those phrases, the original two? The former rather than the latter? Those that don't know about guns. Those that don't know about cars. If you don't know about cars, you say, well, he's a gearhead. You don't know about guns, you say, well, that guy's a gun nut. The point of the joke is my own ignorance. So I say, you know, someone I know is an accountant or has a degree in accounting, okay? I call them a numbers nigger. Why? Because I'm bad at math. It's a self-deprecating joke. And the problem is that the fucking retards out there and the useful idiots and the malicious, they will never understand the humor that there is in using shocking language and slurs. It's if you're using them in the correct way, it's very rarely for the sake of being bigoted. It's almost always for the sake of a joke, to make someone laugh, to be entertaining. And that's a good thing. I think that it's a good thing to try to make people laugh and to make them smile and to do other things such as that to entertain them. Not just for the sake of me getting super chats and hanging out with Sargon and all this other shit, which is entertaining and fun, yes, for me. But it's trying to have you enjoy your day a little bit more. I've had a lot of people say that my videos, they find my videos for them to be cathartic. Good. I'm glad. I want these videos for you to be cathartic, entertaining, and so on. Because it helps you get through the day, makes you feel better. That's part of what I do. And what, like, when it comes to entertainment, you know, it's one of the reasons why people find it addictive and why they like doing it. It's because they're good people. And some aren't, but it's many different things. But one of the things that motivates them is when they think they're doing good because they're making people feel better about their day. And incentivizes them to keep doing what they're doing. But the fact is, even if I was making all of you feel bad, I have a part of me that is compelled to be creative. And so I feel it necessary to edit videos, create videos, do reviews, do these streams, etc., scream at the top of my lungs, because I find it to be in many ways creative, and I'm compelled to do it. Walnut says, why did you respond to my question about witches? We talk about religious versus non-religious. I was talking about the psychopath that harvests androchrome from abducted children, that type of hyper evil. Well, you're talking about something that I am only nebulously aware of. But if somebody is like a psychopath serial killer, like, I don't really think we need to... I think you're kind of doing your own argument a disservice. Like, if you're dealing with a serial killer or some schizoid, and you're the one reading the walls, looking for it to make sense, the scribbling on the walls and in the journals, I'm looking at it and I'm going, yeah, that person's just fucking crazy or fucking evil. Like, that is the 1%, dude, where they have always existed, they will always exist, and I don't really read much into whatever they're scribbling on the walls. They're evil, and they found something that they are into, okay? You can see yourself in what you say there, Walnut, that the person is evil. What do you want me to say here? Evil people have always existed and will always exist. What does it matter what nonsense bullshit they're scribbling on the walls or in their journal? Sorry. I appreciate the support there, dude. But I think you're kind of defeating your own arguments. But maybe I'm wrong. I'll leave it to the chat to decide. But let's have that be it in terms of the super chats, because I need to go eat, because it's almost fucking 8 o'clock. So I will halt it there. I would like to start by saying thank you to Sargon for setting this up. He promised the other week that we would stream together, and he met that demand. He met that promise. So thank you to Sargon for showing up and staying up late and doing that stream with me. Secondly, I'd like to thank all of you that went over to Streamlabs and supported me there. Because of all the shit going on YouTube, I am being suppressed. My channel is being looked after. My shit is being fucked with. I know that for a fact. It's been, ever since I got demonetized, it's been a madhouse on my channel, and I appreciate your support through these turbulent times. And those that are doing so with their own hard-earned money, and I know that a lot of people are struggling right now. I've had a bunch of people on my Subscribe-Star that have been forced to unsubscribe to my Subscribe-Star, not from any error or any ill will on their part or any even failure on my part, and I haven't been perfect lately, but they've had to unsubscribe from my Subscribe-Star because of their own hardships, and I feel bad for that. And if you have to, then by all means do so and get your shit right. Come back when you're strong, and I do encourage you to come back and support me when you're strong. But it's hard times out there. Times are not good right now, but I very much appreciate the support despite all that. And for those of you that turned up today just to see Sargon and listen to me screech and all that, thank you for stopping by my channel. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my Twitter, Gab, and Facebook. I hope that you will subscribe to my Subscribe-Star. And if you don't want to do any of that, just subscribe to my channel and watch for more content that will be coming out in the near future, including some more streaming. And I can guarantee you, when and if, or well, not really if, but when I do get to, if I'm not taken down beforehand, when I get to the Copcast 2, it's going to be nuts. I hope I don't get taken down for it. I have a very bad feeling I will be taken down for it. But it's going to be nuts. It's going to be crazy. For those of you anticipating it, I'm not trying to prolong, you're already half chub and all that. I'm not trying to, blue ball you. It's going to be nuts. Anyways, thank you for everyone that turned out tonight and supported my channel tonight. And I hope you will continue to do so into the future. And stand by for some more content in the future. All right. Thank you.